If it's Friday night, it is strictly sports. Hello, friends. It's Anthony Florio here once again, standing in for the hardcore for Derek Ferreira, I should say. Got carried away for a moment, but yes, we are here live from East Providence, Rhode Island. We apologize for the slightly late start, but that's okay. Just waiting for these guys to come in, and yes, we got a loaded show tonight. Unfortunately, well, this is more of a 50-50 show. Unfortunately, half of it will deal with, unfortunately, some hard times. And, unfortunately, we're going to have to get into it. But there are some positives on the other side. So let's run it down. Here's what's on tap for the docket tonight. Geno Smith, we all know what happened. I believe it was on Monday. Geno Smith sucker punched in the face. He's going to be out 6 to 10 weeks with a broken jaw. We're going to get into that in just a moment. Seattle Mariners pitcher Hisashi Iwakama threw a no-hitter the other day for the Seattle Mariners against the Baltimore Orioles at Safeco Field. We'll definitely get into that. On top of that, we also have the let me check it here. The sad news that came out of Red Sox Nation this afternoon as Boston Red Sox manager John Farrell diagnosed with stage 1 lymphoma, and we'll get into that. There is a positive. And next season's NBA schedule has been released. We're going to talk about that. And then back to the hard times. Some hard times possibly for Stanley Cup champion Patrick Kane, perhaps. We'll have to wait. We'll have to look into that. And the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers. This is the good news and bad news. The bad news is it was made official earlier today that Carl Hagelin will no longer be a Broadway Blues shirt, as Carl Hagelin has signed with the Anaheim Ducks for a 4-year deal. The good news is, well, we're not going to get into the Hagelin signing by the Ducks, although it stinks for all of us here in Ranger Nation. But there is a silver lining, and that is the Rangers have signed a cornerstone, one of the cornerstones of the Los Angeles Kings 2 Stanley Cup championships, that being Jarrett Stoll. We'll get into that. And on top of that, then back to the hard times, Anderson Silva suspended for a year by the NSAC, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and there are 2 other things. I know it's not mentioned on the docket, but there are 2 other things that I wanted to get into, to be honest with you, and I want to make sure we have enough time for it. Michael Bullock, this past Monday, was at the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Softball game, and I would like to get his experiences on that, because he made a big splash down there at McCoy Stadium. In addition to this, Michael Bullock works for a local show here in Rhode Island, Special Olympics magazine, but on the channel that was formerly Cox 3. So I know I definitely want to get his thoughts on that. And then before we do our Major League Baseball power rankings, it's basically a triple main event. Michael Bullock's experiences from the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Softball game, which he was in attendance for, and then after that, you've heard a big announcement, Dixie. Then it was big announcement, Derek. Then it was big announcement, Tony. Tonight, it's big announcement, Mikey. If you weren't with us on the Wrestling Forum Monday night, Michael Fletcher at the end of the show teased a very big announcement. We have no idea what this announcement might be at this time. We really hope that, but I know Bullock and I are hoping that it's good news. And I, for one, hope it's good news.
Always good news. It's very good news.
Oh,
it's
yes.
Exciting news, to say the very least.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this, Fletch. Now I'm getting going again. And then last but not least, of course, the Major League Baseball power rankings, as always, to close it out. And then, yes, so I don't know what else there is to say, fellas, except with that said, we're gonna dive right in here. And okay, and let's just say when it comes to the power rankings, there will be quite a bit of some shakeups here. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But for right now, let's dive right in. Of course, first story, of course, Geno Smith. If you didn't know, New York Jets quarterback Geno Smith was sucker punched in the face by Ike Ekwapali on Monday. Apparently, of course, like a lot of fights are nowadays, over the dollar bills. You know, that's what it is nowadays. And how's this for cruel irony? Ekwapali gets released immediately following the incident, and Rex Ryan, of course, trying to turn my once proud team into a bunch of damn thugs and bullies, he goes and signs this guy. Oh, Lord. But nonetheless, though, let me say it like this. Geno Smith was a stud at West Virginia. He was so damn fun to watch at West Virginia. But then he got to the NFL, and he hasn't been as much fun as he once was. I mean, a lot of bad numbers, a lot of poor performances, and he was basically a turnover machine. That's basically what he was. And one of the reasons why the Jets, well, had a hard time season last year, and who knows, maybe they're on their way to another one. I don't know. But it's a damn shame that this had to happen. And I guess apparently it was over. I guess Smith owed this guy $600 or something. And clearly, this Dinkelberg let his emotions get the best of him. So he goes and does what any Bush League thug does, and that's sucker punch him in the face. As a man of good faith, I can't tell you how much this really angers me and really upsets me. Honestly, it really does. And this is one of many reasons why this world is in such bad shape right now. I tell you. And like I said, Ekwapali now, he's now on my Buffalo Bills. My Buffalo Bills just signed this guy. I mean, wow. We got a loudmouth coach in Rex Ryan. We got a down to earth. We got an outright bully in Richie Incognito. And trust me, Fletcher knows all about how much of a bully this Dinkelberg is. No need to rehash that, because that was hard times enough right there.
Dinkelberg.
Amen to that, boys. Amen to that. And then now we got a loudmouth coach. We get a loudmouth coach. We get a downright bully, and now we got this. Okay, yeah. Clearly, I mean, I've been a fan of this team for a long time. I mean, I've been a fan of this team for over 20 years. And, this team was once so proud. My team was once I mean, yeah, we had some colorful characters, but the success was there. I mean, this team was almost always in the playoffs. 4 straight Super Bowls, Levy and all this stuff. Bill Foley, who just went to the Hall of Fame last week. Oh, and then this. Oh man. But who knows? Buffalo could have a good year this year. I'm hoping for it. I mean, I've been a long-suffering fan. I mean, I've been waiting 16 years for this team to be in the postseason. I mean, it's been since '99 that they've been there. We'll see what happens with that. And then on the other side of the coin, you have the Jets, and ironically, former Buffalo Bills quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick is apparently going to be the starter, taking over for Geno Smith until Geno Smith is medically cleared and ready to come back. Huh. Yeah, that Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah. Had some good years, but where was the success? Oh, yeah, it wasn't there, unfortunately. 2011, I can honestly remember it. I mean, they got up to such a hot start, and they did what they always do. They tanked. Not in a good way. So, can he bring some good luck to the Jets? Because quite frankly, they haven't had good luck in 5 or 6 years since they made it to the second straight AFC title game when they when they almost came back and beat Pittsburgh. We'll see on that. But Todd Bowles, his first year, he has to go and deal with that. I will say this though, I do commend the Jets organization for that. I mean, I would have done the exact same thing if it was me, because I'm not going to tolerate any thuggery or bullying or any BS Dinkelberg nonsense like this. So, yeah, so I definitely commend Todd Bowles and the New York Jets organization. I mean, really? Sport of honor, man. The code of the gladiators. That's what it is. The sport of honor. There's a code of gladiators, and don't need this crap. So, with that said, we'll see what happens. That's all there is to it. So, I honestly don't want to waste any more time on this. So, I'm just going to throw it up to Michael Bullock now. So, Mr. Bullock, your thoughts on this first of, unfortunately, many moments of shame on this show.
All right, thank you very much, thank you very much, Anthony Florio. Yes, this is Mike Bullock here for another edition of Strictly Sports. Yeah, I mean, I was watching the training camp program on the NFL Network, and all of a sudden I hear this news about this linebacker for the now former linebacker for the Jets. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Basically, sucker punches Geno Smith, breaks his jaw, and now Geno Smith is going to be out 6 to 10 weeks. Yeah, and now Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be the starter, and Todd Bowles basically came out and said that if Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing well and Geno Smith, when he's healthy, you think Geno Smith's going to get his job back? No. Todd Bowles said whoever is the hot end is going to remain the starting quarterback. If it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, they're going to stick with him. So, yeah, so very interesting. We'll have to wait and see how Ryan Fitzpatrick does when as the starting quarterback. But as far as this man goes, I am ashamed of what he did. A Dinkelberg moment. And, I mean, look, if you're going to be upset about something, confront him face to face. Don't go out there and do something stupid like this, like basically sucker punch him when he doesn't expect it. I mean, that is a stupid, idiotic move, and also, I mean, it's childish, it's Bush League, and I commend Todd Bowles and the Jets organization for getting rid of this Hammenegger, Jabroni, Dinkelberg, who right away as soon as this happened, and now Rex Ryan signs this guy onto the Buffalo Bills. All I can say is I feel bad for you and your Buffalo Bills, Florio, because like you said, you got a loudmouth in Rex Ryan, you got another douchebag in Richie Incognito, and now this guy. All I can say is I hate to say this, Florio. It's going to be a real long season for your Buffalo Bills. But as you just said, you never know. Maybe it could turn into a successful year. But I'm not holding my breath on it. But to this man, you are a cheap shot artist. You are a Dinkelberg. You're a douchebag. And the immortal words of Ren and Stimpy, you idiot! Oh man, I'm done with this this effing douchebag here. I'm done. I'm finished with this nonsense. Fletcher, please take it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You know what? I agree with everything that you guys have said up to this point. It's a disgraceful thing to see happen, and the thing is that it's starting to become more of a trend in the NFL. You get your fair share of locker room fights, and you get your fair share of, fighting that happens in training camp and something. Somebody might say the wrong thing, or, you get a little too over aggressive, and yeah, fights do break out. It does happen. but never in the scale like this. And you never ever want to see a player get hurt. It doesn't matter if it's a starter or a backup. You don't want to see somebody get hurt. And the next thing you know, to know that it's Geno Smith, of all people, Geno Smith of the New York Jets gets hurt, a broken jaw, and now he's out 8 to 10 weeks. I mean, it was already going to be a tough and rough season for the New York Jets. Now it gets even tougher for them because they just lost their starting quarterback. But some people are, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but some people think that this is a blessing in disguise. That now that Geno is no longer going to be there, you know, you got a better quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think Anthony can allude to it because he was a Buffalo Bill last season and did fairly well. I think you might agree with that, Anthony. Maybe this might have been, you know, a silver lining for the Jets. You don't know. I know a lot of people weren't really high on Geno Smith. A lot of people really felt that Geno was good but not great, and some people felt like, you know, it's not the direction that they should go in. Making him the starting quarterback might have been a mistake, but Todd Bowles believed that at the time, Geno deserves to be the number one guy, but now you can hear it in his voice. You know, he says it's an open competition now. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Geno might be the starter. If Ryan Fitzpatrick does get off a hot start, they might stay with the hot hand. So who knows what's going to happen now. At the end of the day, fights happen in the NFL. It always happens in training camp. Actually, another incident, and unfortunately we won't get into this tonight, but Cam Newton got into an incident with one of the defensive linemen, one of the cornerbacks, and they kind of got into a little bit of a tussle over the week that kind of scared the living daylights out of one of my friends from the 2184 crew. So, I mean, it happens. It's part of the football. Should we condone it? Absolutely not. Is it going to happen time and time? Once in a rare while, you're going to see a flare-up. Somebody said something, somebody called somebody's mama something, and the next thing you know, they start playing the feud. So, I mean, I understand it, but it's also stupid. It is idiotic. I agree with you, gentlemen, about that, but it does happen. Let's move on, fellas.
Okay. All right. I'll get that password for you in just a moment, Fletch. All right. So with that said, we're going to move on to a much more positive note here. Like I said, there is some positivity to the world of baseball now, where Seattle Mariners pitcher Hisashi Iwakuma the other day threw a no-hitter for the Seattle Mariners against the Baltimore Orioles at Safeco Field. So nothing left to say on this except Michael Bullock. Your thoughts on Iwakuma's no-hitter while I get that information from Fletcher. So, Mr. Bullock, the floor is yours.
Boy, you talk about a moment for Hisashi Iwakuma throwing a no-hitter. Let me just pull it up when it comes to Hisashi Iwakuma with what he did. Yeah, so it's taking a little bit, so sorry about that. Yeah, I mean he threw basically the fifth no-hitter in Mariners history, and also it was basically his first complete game ever in the big leagues, and I mean, he basically joined the team in 2012, and he was another one of their best pitchers alongside of course King Felix. basically, of course, he pitched a no-hitter, basically, of course, no hits. He did walk 3, and he struck out 7. And up to this point this season, he's 4-2 with a 3.86 ERA, and in 72 and a third innings with 12 walks and 58 strikeouts. But he did miss some time this season because of some injuries, so that's why he hasn't pitched that much this season. So, yes, it was basically his 11th start of the season. So, yeah, but I mean, a great performance. I mean, he basically joins he joins his teammate. I mean, of course, the last no-hitter for the Seattle Mariners was, of course, the ace of the staff, and that's King Felix Hernandez. So really nothing more to say except congratulations to Asashi Iwakuma, the 5th no-hitter in the history of the Seattle Mariners. So really got nothing more to say on it except, Fletcher, your thoughts on Iwakuma throwing the 5th no-hitter in the history of the Seattle Mariners?
That is a great moment for him. Congratulations to Mr. Iwakuma. It's awesome. When you get a no-hitter, when you get a no-no, you are in baseball lore forever. Nobody's ever going to take that away from him. And it's awesome. That's an awesome moment to have for him. You know, he's a pretty good pitcher. I mean, pretty young as well. And, you know, with the staff that they have, you know, when you got King Felix as your starter and the whole 9 yards, and, you know, you got some decent guys, Montgomery, you know, and Iwakuma is mainly the number 2, number 3 starter on the rotation. And, you know, sometimes you get that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You never think about it until it's there. And the thing is that during the game, you know, you start thinking about it. I'll probably say once you go through the first 3 innings, you're like, all right, not bad. Once you go through about maybe halfway, you start thinking in your head, maybe we got something going here. What's going on? I don't know. Let's wait and see. Once it's past the 7th, now you're glued. Now you're all in. I know my phone was blaring, going off after the 7th inning that Iwakuma got this no-no going, and I'm like, well, look at this. And the funny thing is that Bill McConnell and myself, we always get these alerts, but the thing is that a lot of the times you get these alerts, and the next thing you know, they lose it later on in the game. They'll lose the no-hitter, or they'll lose the perfect game. Then it says no-hitter through 8. I'm like, he's got 1 inning to go. I think he might get it. He's like, so I'm like, let's see what happens. Next thing you know, it said he got 1 out. He got the 2nd out. I heard he got the third out. Once it said that he got the no-no, I'm like, it happened. It happened. We got ourselves a no-hitter, a no-no. Congratulations. I mean, hats off, man. That's all I can say. I tip my cap to Iwakuma. Like Michael Bullock said, it's the 5th no-no for Mariners history. And the thing is, like you said, the first one was all the way back in like the early. It was actually Randy Johnson, the big unit. It was the first man to get the first no-no, and then I think it was Beto. He wasn't really much of a big name, but Beto did it in the Kingdom. Oddly enough, he got the no-no as well. Sometimes a no-hitter could be from an ace. It could be, or it could be somebody that you never heard of before. That, you know, sometimes it's just that one night where everything goes right and history is made. And in Seattle at Safeco Field, it happened again. No. Very rare, like I said, very rare to see it nowadays. But when it does, it's definitely a reason to celebrate. Congratulations, Iwakuma. Congratulations on the no-no. From this Atlanta Brave fan, I tip my cap to you, my friend. Anthony, it's yours.
Yes, and I would like to share my congratulations as well to Hisashi Iwakuma for this incredible honor. I mean, a no-hitter is a no-hitter, folks. I mean, just absolutely fantastic. And in a week in a summer full of hard times, I mean, we need some positive moments. I'm glad we got to witness this positive moment where this young man goes and throws a no-hitter against a more than solid lineup in the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, a lineup that has Chris Davis and Adam Jones, and, just to name a couple guys. But man, oh man, I mean, credit where credit is due to him. I mean, he outshines Felix Hernandez for a change. I mean, normally when it comes to Mariners pitching, it's all about Felix Hernandez, rightfully so. But man, oh man, chalk it up for Iwakuma there. And, Seattle been playing some good ball, guys. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I'm definitely liking their body of work as of right now. And who knows? If they keep it up, there may be a chance, possibly, maybe, that within the next couple of weeks, even though we don't have many weeks left, when it comes to the regulation strictly sports, because remember our college football and NFL shows are going to be starting up within the next few weeks. Let's remember that. And but yeah, I mean, in Seattle, wow. They were playing. Well, I need to rephrase what I just mentioned about the Seattle Mariners. Up until tonight, they were playing some great ball, but tonight, folks, Michael Bullock, I think your Red Sox wanted to win one for the old Gipper there, as they just put a 15-1 beatdown on the Mariners tonight at Fenway Park. My goodness gracious! But oh yeah. Yeah, Sox had a message to send. That's all there is to it. And but yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm going to try to get the info from this. But tonight, I mean, 15-1 beatdown by the Red Sox against Seattle. I mean, not good, and they were playing some great ball, like I said. So, yeah, it was on Wednesday. Wednesday was the date that it went down, and he believed the slicing fastball was going to find its way to the outfield grass, and then his dream of joining an elite pitching fraternity went out shy. And then his teammate Austin Jackson, sprinting with his glove extended in the air, ready to squeeze the final out. He did just that. Seattle got the run support. Franklin Gutierrez with a double, scoring Ketel Marte. Robbie Cano, my old friend, RBI single, scoring Gutierrez. And then Jesus Sucre with an RBI double, scoring Austin Jackson. That's all they needed. You look at this Oriole lineup. I mean, you already know about Adam Jones and Chris Davis, the heart and soul of this lineup. Let's not forget Manny Machado, Gerardo Pera, Jimmy Paredes, Jonathan Shoup, Brian Flaherty, Caleb Joseph, and David Loff. Those are the guys who could not muster a hit. The final line for Iwakuma: complete game, no hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts, just 3 walks. If it wasn't for those 3 walks, this young man would have had a perfect game. But the 3 walks, I mean, they only managed 3 walks. Machado, Davis, and Flaherty were the ones who drew the walks. So yeah, 116 pitches, 77 for strikes, So that's a very good ratio. And 11 ground balls, 5 fly balls, and of course the 7 Ks. So game only took 2.5 hours. It only took 2 hours and 29 minutes, according to my notes here. So, but yes, nonetheless, on behalf of all of us here at Strictly Sports, a heartfelt congratulations to Hisashi Iwakuma for throwing a no-hitter in the 5th one in Seattle Mariners history. So well done. Or as I like to say from the Waynesville movies, and I know Fletcher like this, good work, my friend. Yes. So good work, my friend, indeed. So well done. So keep up the good work. So that's it for that. Unfortunately, now we have to go back to the hard times here on this Strictly Sports show. We're staying with Major League Baseball, and very serious hard times, I'm afraid. It was announced earlier this afternoon that Boston Red Sox manager John Farrell diagnosed with stage 1 lymphoma. He has, however, said that I watched I caught a little bit of his press conference earlier. I was watching NESN earlier. He did say that this cancer was found during a surgery he underwent recently for a hernia, and he says he's very glad that they found it. He says that this form of cancer is very treatable, so that's good news to hear. But in all seriousness, we definitely want to send our thoughts and prayers and condolences right now to John Farrell and his family during this a very difficult time. So difficult that John Farrell is going to be stepping down for the rest of the season. Torey Lovullo is going to be taking over as the interim manager for the remainder of the season. Rightly so. Team's going nowhere, obviously. So I'll have more to say on this in just a moment. But Michael Fletcher, unfortunately, this is something you're going to have to lead off on. So your thoughts on this very sad news that came out of Red Sox Nation this afternoon?
Yeah, very sad. My like you said, guys, my thoughts and prayers are out with them as well. I mean, this is tough. I mean, it stinks beyond belief. I mean, how horrible is that to hear? Like I said, my thoughts and prayers are going out to the entire Red Sox Nation. It's such a tough break to hear, and like I said, I thought you always think that maybe something like this would not happen, and it did. So again, however, we are fortunate. It is a right now, as from what we heard, that it is kind of treatable. So I mean, it is somewhat of good news. No doubt about it. But like I said again, my thoughts and prayers are with John Farrell and the entire Red Sox Nation right now, and hopeful for a speedy recovery, hopeful for the best, and that's basically all I can say at this point. So with that said, Anthony, I'll give it to you.
Oh man, certainly is a very sad day for Red Sox Nation. I mean, I got to tell you guys. I mean, here's a team 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this team comes out of nowhere and wins the World Series, lifting the spirits of the city of Boston at a time when they really needed it. Except 6.5 months after the worst tragedy that city's ever had to endure, the Boston Marathon tragedy. And I said it on this show that the only way you can uplift that city is for one of their teams to win a championship. The Bruins came close. They came up just short of winning the Stanley Cup. But the Red Sox, though, they went on to win the World Series. And to me, their World Series win 2 years ago, to me, is the greatest moment in New England sports because of the fact that they did it in Boston, in Fenway Park, first time in 95 years, and they did it, and at the same time, lifting the spirits of a city that really, really needed it at that particular point in time. Just great stuff, and for that moment. Now, unfortunately, as if last year wasn't hard times enough for this team, having to endure a first to worst situation. Now they're enduring another last place season right now. They are currently in the basement in the AL East. And even though they got that humongous win tonight against the Mariners, that 15-1 beatdown, it's very simple. That 15-1 beatdown tonight, that was for John Farrell. That was honest to goodness. You had to believe that was for John Farrell right there. And obviously stepping down for the rest of the remainder of the season, rightly so. Even with this win tonight, I still think this team's unfortunately going nowhere. And I know Michael Bullock doesn't like to hear that, but I'm sorry, man. It's sad but true. I feel bad. This is the team that, for so many years has always been in the thick of the playoff race. And I cannot fathom how 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, this team wins the World Series, uplifts the spirits of a city, and now a hard time season last year, and now I cannot believe for the life of me, for the second year in a row, it's going to be another hard time season. Now John Farrell with stage 1 lymphoma. I'm glad to hear that it's treatable. Very glad to hear that. We're all hoping for a speedy recovery, and he's definitely doing the right thing. Season's only got another, I want to say, month and a half or so before we get into the most exciting time of the year in baseball. That is the postseason, my Christmas, if you will, when it comes to the Major League Baseball season, along with opening day. Postseason's my Christmas, opening day is my New Year's Eve. That's all there is to say on that. And it's a damn shame we're not going to get to see this team. This is a good team, but it's just that, they can't catch a break. 2 years ago, they caught plenty of breaks. But last year, no breaks, and unfortunately, we're not going to get any breaks this year in this. And coming from a New York Yankee fan, it's clear as day. Everybody knows, for those who've been living under a rock, that the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox are, without question, the most heated rivalry in all of sports. But Bullock and I, Michael Bullock and I, we really don't do that whole, Yankees suck, Red Sox suck personal rivalry that, a lot of these fans get way over personal. We don't do that. We respect each other. I respect his team, and I know deep down he respects my team. Even though he may not be a fan of mine, like I'm not a fan of his, but I respect his team. And you remember on this show about 2 years ago, that first show we did after the Red Sox won the World Series, I put on my Yankee cap and I tipped it to him. And but right now, in all seriousness, I wish nothing but the best for John Farrell and his family as they cope with this very difficult time right now. This is definitely the epitome of the words hard time. It doesn't get any more hard times than finding out that one of your loved ones has any form of cancer whatsoever, or any disease whatsoever. Thoughts and prayers right now to the family and friends of John Farrell, as well as to the entire Red Sox organization, as well as Red Sox Nation, of which Michael Bullock is the heart and soul of it, along with Derek Ferrer. But Michael Bullock, he's the heart and soul of the Red Sox Nation. He's been a fan of this team since the day he was born. He's been a fan of this team. He's followed him. He's always going to bleed that white and red of the Boston Red Sox until he dies. That's all there is to say about that. Just like I'm going to bleed the black and white and the pinstripes of the New York Yankees, just like Michael Fletcher will bleed the white and red, black, white, and red of his Atlanta Braves. So, That's all there is to say on that. But John Farrell, we're thinking of you, buddy. Godspeed, and wish you all the best. And we're hoping for a speedy recovery. We hope to see you back on the Red Sox bench on 2016. So, thinking of you, man. So, kick this cancer's ass and get back to doing what you do best. That's managing this team. We're rooting for you, man. We really are. Speedy recovery all the way. So with that said, I know this is a very hard thing for him to talk about. But Michael Bullock, I know this is going to be hard for you. So do your best and share with us your thoughts and your feelings about your manager. Unfortunate and sad news that came out this afternoon. All yours, man.
Yeah, this was shocking to me. I mean, I got the breaking news on my phone, and I looked at it, and I'm like, what? He has stage 1 lymphoma? I mean, my heart literally broke when I heard about this, and the thing is, he had hernia surgery, and that's when they found the stage 1 lymphoma in him, and maybe it was a good thing that he did get injured, because if he didn't get injured, there's a chance maybe they wouldn't have found this. I mean, the thing is, they found it. He's going to get treated for it, and the doctors did say it's highly curable. And but now because of this, he's going to have to take the rest of the season off and just to get well from this. And Torey Lovullo is now going to take over for the rest of the season. And I mean, as we all know, of course, and the thing is, Torey Lovullo was very emotional in his press conference talking about John Farrell. And the thing is, I mean, what a guy he is, John Farrell. I mean, of course, he was a former player. Of course, he was basically drafted by the Cleveland Indians in the second round of the 1984 draft, and made his debut back in August of 1987, and played with them until the 1990 season. And then, of course, unfortunately, he had injuries to his elbow to miss the entire 91 and 92 season. And then, of course, he returned to action with the then California Angels from 93 to 94, went back to Cleveland in 95, and then finished his playing career with the Tigers in 1996. And then, of course, in 97, he joined his alma mater, Oklahoma State, as an assistant coach and pitching and recruiting coordinator, and stayed with them until 2001. And then from 2001 to the end of the 2006 season, he served as the director of player development for the Cleveland Indians. And then, of course, after the 2006 season, this was John Farrell's first go-around with the Red Sox, where he basically was named the pitching coach, and then where he served from 2007 to 2010. And then, of course, after the 2010 season, he was named the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, and stayed there till about 2012. And then, after the 2012 season, he rejoined the Red Sox, this time as manager of the team. He was acquired via a trade, and then of course, who could ever forget that magical 2013 season? I mean, before John Farrell got there, the Red Sox, of course, finished in last place in 2012. And then, of course, he would join the team with, of course, added guys like Victorino, Johnny Gomes, Um, Mike Napoli. I could go on, and basically turned the team around from a last place team to a first place team. Of course, that went on to win the AL East, and then of course they would go on to win the World Series that year. And it was the first time in 95 years. Of course, we all remember that the Red Sox won the World Series at Fenway Park. And of course, John Farrell was named the Sporting News 2013 AL Manager of the Year. Wasn't named the actual AL Manager of the Year by the baseball writers. He, of course, he finished in second place, only behind former Boston Red Sox manager Terry Francona, who, of course, managed the Cleveland Indians and still does. Although, in my opinion, I think John Farrell, to me, should have gotten the AL Manager of the Year because, I mean, you turn around a team from a last place team to a first place team and winning the World Series. I mean, that's just how I feel. But then the last 2 years haven't gone quite so well. I mean, last year a last place finish, and now looks like another last place finish. Even though now he's not going to be managing the rest of the season. So all I can say is to John Farrell, get well soon, my friend, and beat this stage 1 lymphoma, and get back on that Red Sox dugout very soon. We're thinking of you, man. Fletcher, your thoughts? Oh, Fletcher already did. Floria, let's just move on.
And thankfully, we have another way of moving on from hard times to positive stuff. NBA schedule has been released, guys. 2015-16 NBA schedule has been released, and of course, we're obviously not going to dissect the whole thing. We'll be here all night if we do that. But nonetheless, we're going to share our highlights, things that we're looking for. Some of the things that we're looking forward to coming up this season. So it all starts on Tuesday, October the 27th, which is opening day. 3-game slate. The Detroit Pistons will be going up against the Atlanta Hawks. A rematch, and we're going to have 2 playoff rematches, guys. In the first one, a rematch of the second round, the Eastern Conference semifinals. And Fletch, oh boy, I know we got this one circled in. Our Chicago Bulls will be at home at the United Center, the Madhouse on Madison, as they go up against the team that knocked them out of the playoffs in the second round in 6 games. Those low-down Eastern Conference champion Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh, yeah, we got revenge on our minds, boy. You better believe that. And then in the nightcap, a rematch of the Western Conference first-round playoff series as the New Orleans Pelicans will head into the Oracle, the Oracle Arena in Oakland on ring night for the NBA champion Golden State Warriors, as they will be getting their championship rings, as well as something that the 3 of us, and especially myself and Michael Fletcher, love and appreciate more than anything else. And I know you know this as well as I do. There is nothing more special than when we get to see the raising of a championship banner into the rafters. Am I not right, Fletch? I mean, Fletch and I always get very highly emotional when we get to see championship banners, even if it's not our team's banner that gets raised. But we did get to see that last year with our Rangers, when that Eastern Conference banner. I wish another banner went up into the rafters of the Garden, but it is what it is on that. But yes, but there you go. And then the big slate on Wednesday night, October the 28th. Mr. Bullock Celtics, their season starts the following night at home at TD Garden against the Philadelphia 76ers. So there's that. And then you know, whoa. But nonetheless, though, the schedule is up. Um, of course, I definitely wanted to get into the opening day stuff because that, is the most is a notable day, obviously, and another notable day for me is Christmas Day. Christmas Day is that's usually the most highlighted um, when it comes to it. So what I want to do is I want to look into the Christmas games. I do know the only thing that I do know is that I do believe we are going to have an NBA Finals rematch. I'm more than certain on that when the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors meet up at the Oracle on Christmas Day. I mean, you can bet on that. I mean, I did hear some rumblings on that, but I'm just trying to, like I said, bear with me here. I'm just trying to find somewhere that has it in full. So just but those are the games that I do know. Come maybe I've got something here, but I do know those are the three opening night games. Okay, here we go. Like I said, we're not going to get into the whole thing because we'll be here all night if we do that. But okay, Christmas Day, here we go. This is always a highlight for me. It kicks off at high noon, 12 noon. The New Orleans Pelicans will be going up against the Miami Heat. That's on ESPN. At 2:30 on ABC, the Chicago Bulls will be going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. What a game that's going to be. And then at 5 o'clock on ABC, like I mentioned, I'm not at all surprised by it. The rematch of the NBA Finals, which is obligatory. The Cleveland Cavaliers against the Golden State Warriors. And then in prime time, 8 o'clock on ESPN, the San Antonio Spurs going up against the Houston Rockets. And then in the nightcap at 10:30 on ESPN, it's a battle of LA, the Los Angeles Clippers against the Los Angeles Lakers. And by the way, if you're wondering when the other finals rematch goes down, it'll be on January the 18th. January the 18th, the Golden State Warriors at the Cleveland Cavaliers. That time it will be at the Q in Cleveland. This first go around will be obviously at the Oracle in Oakland. So, but yeah, a very good Christmas slate to say the very least. I mean, New Orleans and Miami. That should be a great matchup there. Two great young teams, Anthony Davis and, of course, the Heat, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. We'll see how that goes. Bulls and Thunder, definitely got a vested interest in that one. D-Rose and company going up against Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Should be a damn good game there. That will be their second meeting. Their other meeting will be on November 5 in Chicago. So, interesting note there. Cleveland Golden State, what can we say? I mean, a 50-50 finals. I mean, the first three games of that series were damn near five-star classics, chock full of some of the finest Shakespearean drama you will see. But then games 4, 5, and 6, unfortunately, not so much. And then San Antonio and Houston, that's a bitter rivalry. Everybody knows that. That's going to be a great game. Duncan, Ginobili, Parker going up against James Harden. The $200 million man, oh, by the way, signing that new deal with Adidas, if you didn't hear about that. That's the first of four meetings with Spurs and Rockets. They'll be meeting again on January 2nd in San Antonio, January 27th, also in San Antonio, and then they meet again in Houston on February 27th. And then the nightcap, the Clippers and the Lakers at the Staples Center. That's also going to be their first meeting. January 29th will be the second meeting, and then they'll meet again. And then they have a home and home, a back-to-back home and home on April 5th and April 6th. So those are the matchups there. So, and then of course, I also want to get into the final day of the season, April 13th. The Miami Heat going up against the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors against the Brooklyn Nets, Orlando Magic against the Charlotte Bobcats, Detroit Pistons against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Atlanta Hawks and the Washington Wizards, Philadelphia 76ers against the Chicago Bulls, San Antonio Spurs, Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings, Houston Rockets, Indiana Pacers, Milwaukee Bucks, New Orleans Pelicans, Minnesota Timberwolves, Memphis Grizzlies, Golden State Warriors, Utah Jazz, Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Clippers against the Phoenix Suns, and the Denver Nuggets against the Portland Trail Blazers. So yes, just wanted to get into those notable meetings, and of course, when the Cavs and the Bulls get together, I'm hoping that Fletch will mark down these days for Cavs and Bulls. Obviously, opening night, October 27th in Chicago. And then they don't meet again until January 23rd in Cleveland. And then the third meeting will be on February 18th. That's also going to be in Cleveland. And then the fourth and final game in Chicago on April 9th. And I'm just... and I also want to cross the Buddy Bowl situation, the Buddy Bowl matchups, obviously, because you know how we're into those. First and foremost, the Chicago Bulls and the Boston Celtics. They'll be meeting 3 times. The first meeting will be on December 9th. That will be at TD Garden in Boston. And then January 7th, that game will be in Chicago. And then they'll meet again on January 22 in Boston, and that's it. Just those 3 meetings right there for Bulls and Celtics. And before I move on, are there any other games that I should have of notice, guys, or do you feel I've done good enough? Because I just wanted to get into some of the notable stuff only, mainly opening day, Christmas, and the final day, and obviously the finals rematches when those go down, the Buddy Bowls. So,
No, I think you pretty much covered at least some of the stuff that I was looking for. Of course, there's the game where during the season where San Antonio is going back to Portland. The first time since LaMarcus Aldridge left the team to sign with the Spurs.
yes.
And then of course you do have the Christmas Day game. Christmas Day. Going to be very interesting to see at the very least. So, no, I think you covered everything that I kind of expected you to cover. So you did a good job, Florian.
All right, and we'll get more. I want to get your thoughts on some of those games in just a moment, Fletch. But first, I'm going to throw it up to Michael Bullock. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on the NBA schedule as a whole, and if you also want to share some of your thoughts on your Celtics schedule, because I know you've seen it. So, Michael Bullock's thoughts on the NBA schedule now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting schedule there. I mean, yeah. So I'm just trying to pull it up here. Sorry about that. I mean, of course, opening night is the big night. Of course, starting off with the Bulls. Of course, the Bulls and the Cavs, and then of course with the Golden State Warriors and the New Orleans Pelicans, and that's the night when the Golden State Warriors they raise their banner, and of course, I'm looking for some more. Of course, the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers on that Friday, October 30th. And LeBron going up against his former team. Of course, also that night with the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. That's another intriguing matchup. Of course, well, of course, the Spurs going up against the Celtics, and of course, then of course on that Monday, yeah, I'm just bear with me. I'm just going through some of it. Like you said, not going to go through all of it because it would basically take up all night. But yeah, of course, on Wednesday, November 4th, you got the Clippers and the Warriors. That should be a good one there. And of course, excuse me again. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, you excuse me. I'm just basically trying to take a look at some of it, but yeah, and well, when it comes to the Celtics, they had a pretty good season last year, and the question is, can they build upon with the schedule that they have this year? You know, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, but then again, you basically pretty much touched on everything on all the highlights. So I can't wait to see what happens this season. And the thing is, can the Golden State Warriors retain their championship? And can the Cavs can they get back there and finally win one for the city of Cleveland? Can the Celtics make it two straight years in the postseason? Those are, and most importantly, I mean, and the other thing is, can the Clippers get to the NBA Finals, especially with the team they've got now? So these are a lot of things we're going to have to wait and see when it comes to this upcoming season. So very excited about it. So Fletcher, your thoughts on the schedule for this upcoming season?
Oh yes, indeed, guys. I mean, this is I wanted it to make an emphasis about this because I kind of felt like this was gonna be the moment for me. And yeah, indeed. I mean, the NBA schedule came out and it is very promising. Starts out with a doubleheader, at least for TNT, as the Cavaliers and the Bulls get it on from Chicago. Of course, that's also the night the banner goes up. The New Orleans Pelicans goes one-on-one with the reigning, defending NBA World Champions, Golden State Warriors. And the thing is that there's some other games out there that's going to be interesting, that's going to be nationally televised. The Celtics are going to get a look. They got a game on November 24th going up against the Atlanta Hawks, of course. And then again, there's going to be a few games along the way, but the ones you want to see is like the Spurs and the Clippers because of the great battle they had during the postseason. Bulls and Cavaliers is always a heated rivalry. That's going to be an exciting game to say the very least. And then of course you're going to get those teams that you want to see. You know, how are the Knicks going to rebound from a year ago? How are the Lakers going to rebound from a year ago? Are they going to be better than where they were just one season ago? Some people says no. Some people say yes. Some people says who cares? But I mean, we'll wait and see what happens. But whatever the case may be, I'm very excited because it's the NBA, guys. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how amazing it's going to be. But the thing is that this is my favorite time of the year because I'll tell you one thing. Myself, Alex, and even Kaiser Butler, we've been all clamoring. We've been all on pins and needles for this schedule release. We were getting very close to go to Secaucus, New Jersey, and give an earful to the NBA commissioner Adam Silver because we kind of started getting a little antsy for a little while because we're like, wait a minute, come on, what the heck is this? Normally the schedule will be out. What are they waiting for? Christmas? And then they're like, oh, because all the moves that happened and all these legalities. We gotta wait until the schedule. So we're pushing the schedule back. And I'll tell you one thing. You had Alex feisty as ever before, saying, "Believe that stuff. We want the schedule. We want it now." And we literally were on the verge of planning a trip to Secaucus, New Jersey, and giving Adam Silver a piece of our mind. So luckily the schedule came out when it did, and we went nuts. We started looking piece by piece. Okay, this is the one team that's going to go at it. This is another team. Who do you like? Who do you don't like? So, oh yeah, we were antsy. We were antsy. So we're glad it's finally out. We're excited it's finally out. Now it's just let's go. Let's play. Let's play some hoops. I can't wait. It's NBA season, guys. We are back, and I can't wait. Now it's like all you guys have been about. Oh, I can't. September can't come soon enough. For me, October can't come soon enough because I can't wait to dive in to the NBA. And you guys know, out of all the major sports, the two sports that I cover pretty die hard is the NFL and the NBA, and I can't wait for those to get going. Those are my Christmas and New Year's more than anything else. Yes, I like hockey. Yes, I like baseball. But those are the two I get more amped up about than anything else. So with that said, Anthony, let's move on.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Fletch. I mean, you are the Mr. NFL and NBA. I mean, you put that analyst hat on and you do a damn good job with that. Just as I put the number one analyst hat. I mean, you are like, you know, the Phil Simms and the Troy Aikman and the Chris Collinsworth and even the John Gruden when it comes to our NFL. Whereas in the NBA, of course, like a Jeff Van Gundy and or Mark Jackson, but of course, most notably Stephen A. Smith, obviously, does his extensive work with the NBA. So, whereas I'm like the Barry Melrose and the Tim McCarver and all those other guys. So there you go. So great points made, and I do want to clear one more thing when it comes to the NBA schedule before we move on. And unfortunately, it'll be back to another hard time story. Fletch made a note of it. You know, the LaMarcus Aldridge signing with the San Antonio Spurs. He goes back to Portland on November 11th. Circle that day on your calendar, folks. November 11th. That's a Wednesday night. That'll be on ESPN. LaMarcus Aldridge returns to Portland in a visitor's uniform. And then they meet again 5 days later in San Antonio, November 16th, and then their third and final meeting on St. Patrick's Day of all days, March 17th. So there you have it. So with that said, we got to move on, and unfortunately, it's back to the hard times as we move to as we switch gears to one of the two sports that I cover diehardedly as the number one analyst, the NHL. Patrick Kane. Unfortunately, an incident came out. It was reported that there was an incident in Hamburg, New York, where Patrick Kane has not been charged, but there is a possibility he could get charged, possibly with rape here. So, man, I mean, 2 months after winning a third Stanley Cup in 6 years, and then he let this happen. So with that said, Michael Bullock, unfortunately, the hard time bites you here. So, your thoughts on this whole thing with Patrick Kane, and if you have any other insight.
Yeah, it's a damn shame that this had to happen to someone like Patrick Kane. So yeah, so let me pull up some of the info on Patrick Kane. So bear with me. Yeah, I mean another hard times moment, and I mean it's a damn shame. He's coming off of winning another Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks, and now this. Holy Marone. mean, this is just, yeah, and I mean, it was basically on August 6, 2015, the Buffalo News reported that Kane is the target of a sexual assault investigation by Hamburg police for an incident that occurred between August 1st and 2nd. A local woman has alleged that Kane took her to his Hamburg, New York home and raped her after meeting her in a downtown Buffalo nightclub. The Hamburg police have only confirmed they are investigating a sexual assault case that occurred in Kane's home. As a result of the investigation, Kane was dropped from being the co-cover athlete on EA Sports NHL 16. So, yeah, so basically, I mean, I don't know really, I don't know anything else when it comes to that, so, and it's a damn shame. I mean, this guy's a three-time Stanley Cup champion, won the silver medal in the 2010 Winter Olympics, was the third star of the month in December, and was a first-team NHL All-Star in 2010. Won the Conn Smythe Trophy. Of course, that year they won the Stanley Cup in 2013. Was the first star of the month in November and December 2013. Second star of the month in December 2014. A four-time All-Star in 2009, 2011, 2012, and 2015. I mean, and there's a saying when it comes to, as we always like to say, any man who basically hits a woman, or worse than enough, rapes a woman, you're not a man. You're an effing monster, in my opinion. So, yes, but the thing is, we don't want to jump to conclusions yet. I mean, the police are still investigating it. So, but if it is true, I can only imagine what's going to happen to Patrick Kane. And well, EA Sports already took him off the cover in NHL 16, but what could happen next if this is true? I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. So, and I'm gonna go into and I got something I want to get off my chest. 2016 cannot get here fast enough, because I am so done with 2015, with all these hard times moments, with what we talked about with John Farrell, with stage 1 lymphoma, what happened with Geno Smith and that other player, and wrestlers passing away. I mean, this has been another hard times year, and I mean, I just want 2016 to be here as soon as possible. I mean, that's basically I want to get off my chest. So, I don't know what else there is to say except, Fletcher, your thoughts on this hard time story with Patrick Kane?
Well, at first when I heard the news, I was more on the air of caution. I think that's the best way I could have said it. We needed to err on the side of caution because we didn't know the full details. But now it's starting to be more apparent that Patrick Kane might have been involved in some very naughty stuff. And if it's true, that's a damn shame, and that's going to be a major, major black eye to the National Hockey League, because we all know that, especially in the NHL, Patrick Kane is considered one of the most recognizable figures, and he's a really good guy. So for him to possibly have been associated or rumored to have done what they're alleging he might have done is actually shocking, and almost disappointing. I think we can also say that's the other key word that comes to mind, is that it's disappointing. At the end of the day, we can only assume what had happened or what might have happened, but it's still out in the open. We don't know all the details. All we just know is that it is a bad situation, and like I said, We just gotta wait and see what happens. But if it's true what they claim it is, then, gentlemen, we got ourselves a very dicey situation. Let's say that. But like I said, we'll wait and see what happens. And there's really nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
It's always hard when a man who's Mr. NHL amongst the three of us has to get into a story like this. And, Patrick Kane, one of the most recognizable faces in the National Hockey League today, far and away one of the 10 best players in the game today, my personal top 10 list, no question about it. Here's a guy who was one of the hearts and souls of the Chicago Blackhawks. One of the main reasons why they once again won the Stanley Cup this year, much to the delight of myself and Michael Fletcher, because it came against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I for one could not have been happier for that moment. Trust me, you know why. But nonetheless, one of the most dynamic all-around players, prolific goal scorer, damn good defender. Just like I said, when it comes to my personal 10 best players in the game today, he's on that list. You better believe that. I mean, him and Jonathan Toews, and Patrick Sharp, and all these other great talents like Marian Hossa and Brad Richards, and a great goal and one of the best goaltenders in the game, Corey Crawford. This team, winning 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years, the way they did it this year, I have to say was the personal best work I have seen from this team. I say this team was, when it comes to their run to the Cup this year, I think this team's run was even better than the run they had 2 years ago, even though they were the team to beat. But in all seriousness, very serious situation indeed for Patrick Kane. And, I hope that this thing gets resolved soon enough, and I just hope that nothing serious happens, and if he gets formally charged, then look out. I mean, Gary Bettman's hopefully Gary Bettman will do something. Hopefully Gary Bettman will throw the book at Mr. Kane there and drop the hammer, if you will.
I'm not holding my breath on that.
Yeah, me neither. But that's why I hesitated. But then again, that's really not Gary Bettman's call there. It's usually Brendan Shanahan. I know Brendan Shanahan is in charge of handing out the punishments, if you will. So if Patrick Kane does get convicted, well, Brendan Shanahan's got a very tough decision to make. That's all there is to say about that. I don't envy him. But if it does happen, then look out, because it's going to be a major hard time, not just for the NHL, but for the Chicago Blackhawks as well. I mean, that'll definitely put a damper on any Stanley Cup celebration. I know it's still going on. Every player, takes it home for a day. They get to take the cup home with them during the day. I don't know if he's had his turn yet, but who knows? Maybe that's when he had his turn. I don't know. Maybe he did that during his turn, and if he did, well, he obviously had a little too much to drink from that thing. So, but nonetheless, I'm just hoping and praying that something happens. That something that nothing serious comes out of this, and we just. Ironically, I just noticed this. The NHL schedule actually did come out at the end of June, about 10 days after the Stanley Cup ended. You're not going to believe who the Chicago Blackhawks' first game is against on Wednesday, October 7th, when they raise their third banner into the rafters of the Madhouse on Madison, the United Center. Their first game is against the New York Rangers. What do you think about that? How's that for cruel irony, huh?
Wow.
What do you think about that, Fletch?
What?
I'm not kidding you. I just found this. I was just curious to see if the NHL schedule came out, and it did. New York Rangers, Chicago Blackhawks in the United Center on Wednesday night, October 7th, opening night. Buddy Bowl, right away, right out of the gate.
Matt Ward, yes, you're going to be celebrating. Yes, you're going to be going nuts. You're going to be going nuts that the cup is back home. Let me tell you, brother, party's going to be crashed, literally, by the New York Rangers, the Broadway Blue Shirts.
You better believe it.
Because of the fact that last season we felt like that should have been our moment.
You
and
damn
unfortunately, Tampa Bay, Tampa was the better team, no doubt about it. They deserved to win the East.
Sad but true.
We got something to prove this upcoming season, man. We definitely got something to prove.
And of course, it's well documented. I've already gone on the records. Well, I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But this whole Kane situation, I just hope that come October 7th, that it will not, that distraction will not overshadow like I said, one of the most sacred ceremonies in all of sports. And I know all three of us appreciate it, but there's no two guys who appreciate a banner raising ceremony more than myself and Michael Fletcher, because we witnessed one together and it was a lot of fun. And it wasn't our team, but still we witnessed it and it was a lot of fun. And there was a funny commercial, a local commercial here in Rhode Island for Albert's Furniture. Who'll ever forget it when they had when they did their little banner raising? I mean, I still get a lot of laughs thinking about that. And Fletch and I had a lot of fun with that particular Albert's commercial. So, but nonetheless, very serious situation. Like I said, I just hope it doesn't overshadow, because October 7th, man, not only are you getting your championship rings, but a third Stanley Cup banner will be going into the rafters of the United Center. Very special night, to say the very least. What a night that's going to be. First game out of the gate, the Blackhawks will be hosting the New York Rangers. I mean, if that's not big enough, guys, a 4-game slate that night. I just want to get this off my chest. That's not the only original 6 matchup that's going to be happening that night. Oh no, there's going to be another one. How about the Montreal Canadiens against the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Air Canada Center? How about that, huh? Montreal against Toronto. And then on top of that, a rematch of the Western Conference quarterfinals, the Vancouver Canucks, with revenge on their minds as they go into the Saddle Dome against the Calgary Flames. And then rounding out in the nightcap, the San Jose Sharks and the Los Angeles Kings at the Staples Center. So but no game is bigger than the New York Rangers and the Chicago Blackhawks Wednesday night, October 7th. So, man, I cannot wait for that day. But nonetheless, here we go. We're going to stay in the NHL now. The New York Rangers agreed to terms with Jarrett Stoll. Jarrett Stoll, ladies and gentlemen. Jarrett Stoll, as you know, one of the cornerstones of the Los Angeles Kings' 2 Stanley Cup championships. In 2012, of course, against the New Jersey Devils, much to my delight once again. And then, of course, 2014, not to my delight, when it came against, of course, the New York Rangers. So, but here he is, Jarrett Stoll, signing a 1-year deal. I obviously do not know the terms of that deal at this time, but nonetheless, Jarrett Stoll, this past Monday, officially signs with the New York Rangers. So with that said, it's only fitting that my fellow brother-in-arms of the New York Rangers, my man, Michael Fletcher, how do we feel about this, Fletch? Did our Cup chances just get better now that we got one of the cornerstones of the Kings franchise?
You know what? I have to say, Anthony, it definitely looks like a very sexy pick. It's a very sexy pick. It's a very good spot for the New York Rangers, because there was that moment. We were like, who is going to be that guy that was going to step up? Who is going to be that guy that was going to be, part of that winning formula, and apparently he is the one. So hopefully that this will pan out to be better than expected, and we hope, of course, we gotta hope for the best. But Jarrett Stoll, as a member of the New York Rangers, that's an uplifting moment. You know, we've lost some players along the way. Unfortunately, we did indeed lose Carl Hagelin. We lost Marty St. Louis due to retirement. So, you know, you had to revamp and get some players, keep some of the guys that you wanted, like Derek Stepan is still with New York, great thing. Rick Nash, apparently he's going to end up staying in New York. So I don't know about Nash, if how we feel about that, because great regular season player, but for the past two postseason, relatively quiet, relatively non-existent in both.
He did better notably this year, Flex. The year before,
no doubt about it. I'm gonna give you that, but his body of work hasn't been that amazing. But like you said, New York did make a big move. They did get Emerson Edom. That was a great little off-season pickup, and you know, nice pickup for the New York Rangers. But now Jarrett Stoll comes to New York, and that's a major pickup. You know, this guy's a good two-way player. You know, offensively, defensively, I think he's going to be a very good. And plus, in the system of Alain Vigneault, the head man of New York, I really like this pickup very much. I believe this is going to be a very good season for the New York Rangers. I hope. We'll wait and see what happens. But at the end of the day, I cannot deny it. This was definitely a great pickup for the Broadway Blue Shirts. There's really nothing more to add to that, Anthony. So if you want to continue, or even let Michael Bullock get in on this and give his thoughts about the signing of Jarrett Stoll coming to New York.
Well, it's my turn next anyway, so I definitely want to get into this. Of course, I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, Jarrett Stoll started in '97, '98 in one of those Canadian, one of those independent Canadian leagues, for the Saskatoon Blazers of the SMAAAHL. He put up 45 goals and 44 assists. That's far and away the most he's ever done. More than anything he's done in the NHL. And then later that season, he went to the Edmonton Ice of the WHL, only 2 goals and 3 assists. And then the following year, went with the Kootenay Ice, also the WHL. Had a good few solid years. First year, okay year, 13 goals, 21 assists. And then 37 goals and 38 assists in year 2. Year 3 was his career year, 40 goals and 66 assists, and then 32 goals and 34 assists. And then he went to the AHL, the Hamilton Bulldogs, 02-03, 21 goals, 33 assists. Played in 4 games later that season for the Edmonton Oilers. 4 games, only an assist. And then his first full year, 03-04 with Edmonton, 10 goals, 11 assists in 68 games. Then during that strike year of 04-05, when there was no season, he went with the Edmonton Roadrunners. Yes, I'm not kidding you. The Edmonton Roadrunners of the AHL. 21 goals and 17 assists in 66 games. And then he returned to the Oilers, played the whole season, 82 games. 05-06, and you remember that season because that year, the Edmonton Oilers went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. One of the great surprise runs in Stanley Cup history. I remember that very vividly. They were the number 8 seed in the West that year. But they came up just a little bit short against the Carolina Hurricanes. And what a great series that was. I know that's a series that Fletch and I had a lot of fun covering. And Jarrett Stoll that year, 22 goals, 46 assists for 68 points. And then in the postseason, he followed that up with 4 goals and 6 assists in the playoffs. So that was great. And then 2 more years with Edmonton, 13 goals, 26 assists in 06-07, and then 07-08, 14 goals, 22 assists. And then 08-09, that's when the good stuff began. That's when he was picked up by the Los Angeles Kings. And 18 goals, 23 assists in 08-09. 09-10 had 16 goals and 31 assists. 10-11 had 20 goals and 23 assists. And then the Stanley Cup year in 2011-12, the first Stanley Cup year, he played 78 games, 6 goals and 15 assists. Had 2 goals and 3 assists in the playoffs. The following year, 7 goals and 11 assists. And I think he played 48 games. I think that's how many games they played that year, if I'm not mistaken. And if that's the case, I know that was a strike-shortened season, and I believe he played the whole season that year. 7 goals and 11 assists in those games, and then he only had 1 assist in the playoffs. That's it, 1 assist in 12 games. And then, of course, the second cup in 13-14, 78 games, 8 goals, 19 assists in the regular year, 3 goals and 3 assists in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then this past season, 14-15, 73 games, 6 goals, 11 assists. Career, 140 goals, 239 assists in the regular season, and then 10 goals and 16 assists in his Stanley Cup career. So he's got 2 Stanley Cup rings, obviously. And he also won a silver medal in the World Junior Championships 2001 with Team Canada, and then a silver medal in 2002, also in Canada. 2 assists in 01, 2 goals and 4 assists in the following year. So he's not as much of a dynamic goal scorer as he used to be. I mean, you saw those. You heard the early numbers I dropped. I mean, he was a pretty decent goal scorer, but the last 4 years, man, I mean, only 6 goals, 7 goals, 8 goals, 6 goals. That's really not going to get it done, even though he's a solid player. I think he's more of a spark plug, really. He's more of a defensive specialist, and he's been going through some hard times. He had some drug issues, obviously, just shortly after the regular season ended. Of course, the Los Angeles Kings, did not make the playoffs this past season. Calgary Flames, as you know, took care of that towards the end of the season, towards the tail end of the season. But yeah, 2 Stanley Cups and a silver medal and a bronze medal in junior stuff, and then of course, so this will be his third different NHL team. Edmonton Oilers, Los Angeles Kings, and very successful with LA the last 7 years. Like I said, winning 2 Stanley Cups, and not to mention the fact that that as of now, of course, as you all know, he's got the beautiful Aaron Andrews on his arm, and all I can say is I cannot wait to. I'm hopeful that. I mean, there's one thing I want to see in addition to a Rangers Stanley Cup, obviously. I'm hoping that we'll get to see at some point Aaron Andrews in the Ranger blue. I mean, I think she would look tremendous in it. Honestly, I mean, she looked great in that LA apparel, but I'm sorry, my dear, you got to move on from LA because your man's now in New York, and you're on our side now, hon. So, yeah, cannot wait to. Hopefully, we'll get to see a lot of Aaron Andrews shots in Madison Square Garden. So, yeah, that Garden. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. So, and then of course, before I toss it up to Mr. Bullock, in closing, yes, we did lose Carl Hagelin, which stinks. Unfortunately, Fletch, we also lost Cam Talbot too. Talbot went to Edmonton. I don't know if you heard about that, but Talbot went to Edmonton, so we lost him too. So Mackenzie Skapski is going to have to be our number 2, backing up, of course, our man, the best in the world, Henrik Lundqvist. So. Yeah, and then Hagelin, that's a big loss right there. I mean, we'll never forget what Hagelin did, of course, in the first round. I mean, Fletch and I will never forget it. I mean, we did the video. We did the show right here. You saw it right here on Strictly Sports 4 months ago when Carl Hagelin scored the series-ending goal in overtime against the Pittsburgh Penguins to put them away in the first round. I mean, that's one of our highest-rated videos because of Fletch's commentary, and he was absolutely fantastic. Channeling his inner Gary Thorne and Doc Emrick. And it's a shame we lost him. Anaheim got him. The Anaheim Ducks, they just got a hell of a lot better, no doubt about it. Cam Talbot, of course, going to Edmonton. Peter Chiarelli, he's been hard at work. He wants to make the Edmonton Oilers what they once were, a fun team to watch. They already got Connor McDavid, so we'll have to wait and see on that. So and Tom McClellan as their coach, so we'll have to wait and see on that. I think some big things are coming from them. But as far as the Rangers are concerned, I like the move of Jared Stoll. It's a great move, and yeah, and you've heard me say it time and time again. I made the bold prediction, and I'm going to make it once again. Next year, I don't care what anybody says. I know there's your Chicagos out there. I know there's your Anaheims. I know there's your Tampas, and all these other great teams out there. And I respect that, and I appreciate that. But next year, I'm doing it again. The New York Rangers are winning the Stanley Cup next year. I believe it in my heart of hearts. This is the team. They got the team to do it. I think they're going to do it. I mean, they're motivated. 3 times in the last 4 years. 2012, they made it to the conference final. They get upset by Jersey. And then 2014, the epic run to the finals. They get to the finals. They damn near win it. They should have won it. But I'm not going to go on and on about that. I've already, ranted about that enough. And then this past season, winning the President's Trophy. First time since '94. We honestly thought this was going to be our year. Fletch and I. We thought this was going to be our year. Nobody more so than I did. But next year, as God is my witness, President's Trophy or not, this team is winning the Stanley Cup next year. And you already know the 2 reasons why. Because they can, and they will. Believe that. Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Jared Stoll signing with the New York Rangers?
Yeah, losing Carl Hagelin was a blow to the New York Rangers, but boy, howdy, they got someone good here, and Jared Stoll, of course, signing a 1-year deal with the New York Rangers. Yeah, and basically he started his career with the Edmonton Oilers, and well, of course, he started through the Oilers system, playing for the Hamilton Bulldogs of the AHL during the 2002-2003 season, and then he got called up and played his first 4 NHL games, and then he played for the Oilers in 03-04. Then during
I already went through all that stuff.
All right, so yeah, so this will definitely help them, and especially since he has won a Stanley Cup with the LA Kings. Yeah, so he brings some experience for the New York Rangers, and hopefully he will help them get them to a Stanley Cup championship, because Florio and Fletch have been diehard New York Rangers fans, and hey, even though I'm a Boston Bruin fan, I'm pulling for your New York Rangers. I want to see them win the Stanley Cup, because nobody's been. I mean, those two have been so through it since they last won the Stanley Cup back in 1994, and nothing would please them more than to see them hoist the Stanley Cup. I mean, I've had my moment with my Bruins hoisting it, and hopefully they get to see their team, the New York Rangers, do it, and hopefully Jared Stoll will play a role in that. So, really got nothing more to say except I'm just gonna move on. Florio, let's move on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on indeed, and we're getting there. We're almost there. Of course, unfortunately, we do have one more. There will be one more hard time story. I promise this is the last one, according to my schedule, my notes here. And then the rest of the way, it'll be nothing but positivity, and I can't wait for that. So, Anderson the Spider Silva, suspended for a year by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and man. Here's a guy who, in the UFC, had a more than stellar career going for him. And then he just keeps failing these damn drug tests, and it's just sad. I mean, I know Fletcher's going to have a lot to say on that when we get to him, because he is our UFC expert, especially when it comes to a big name like Anderson Silva. I mean, the Spider Silva, I mean, you look at everything he's done in his amazing career. I mean, UFC middleweight champion, unified UFC middleweight and Pride FC welterweight champ, and so much more. The UFC and Cage Rage and Shudo and the World MMA Awards and Sports Illustrated, Spike Guy's Choice Awards, Sherdog, MMA Live, ESPN.com. One was nominated for 2 Best Fighter ESPYs, and then the Wrestling Observer newsletter, he was the most outstanding fighter and the MMA most valuable fighter in 2012. His last fight, of course, was against Nick Diaz at UFC 183 on January 31st in Las Vegas. He originally won. Originally, he won the match. He won the fight via unanimous decision. But then he was overturned after he tested positive for drostalalone. I'm not even going to waste my time on that. He also tested positive for marijuana metabolites as well. So that was it. So it was on August 3rd. It was just the other day, after several reschedules. A disciplinary hearing was held to decide on the matter. His defense argued that a tainted sexual enhancement drug that a friend had given him after a trip to Thailand was the root of the 2 failed tests, and also appeared to mistakes in the NSAC testing procedures, pointing to a pair of drug tests, one on January 19th and one after the fight, which Silva passed. But he admitted to using both. He admitted to using a certain drug that I'm not going to waste my time pronouncing the night prior to the fight, always as therapy to control stress and help him sleep. His team was unable to explain the presence of androsterone in the January 9th test. The commission rejected the defense and suspended him for a year, retroactive to the date of the fight, as the current guidelines were not in effect at the time of the failed test. He was also fined his full win bonus, as well as 30% of his show money, totaling $380,000. And the victory was overturned to a no contest. So definitely a black eye for the UFC, especially, and Dana White and company. I mean, here's a guy who was one of the faces of it. I mean, it's not just him, but there's also. But what about John Bones Jones? What about what he's going through right now? I mean, these were the 2 guys who I considered the faces of the UFC, in addition to Ronda Rousey. I mean, Ronda Rousey, Anderson Silva, and John Bones Jones, to me, are the 3 faces of the UFC. That's all. That's far and away, based on their bodies of work. And as of right now, Ronda Rousey's the only one who's doing things right. I mean, Ronda Rousey, she's not getting busted she's not failing drug tests. Whereas Anderson Silva and John Bones Jones are. It's just sad, man. It's just, I hate this. I mean, a stellar career going for him. I mean, one of the most stellar careers going now. The face of the middleweight division. And this. And he just keeps getting in trouble, and it's just so damn sad. I mean, and this coming, and I'm just looking at my notes here. This is also the same guy who broke his leg. He broke his leg against Chris Weidman. Ugh, man. It's definitely one of those Ren and Stimpy, you idiot moments. That's all there is to it. I mean, you idiot! Amen to that, Bullock. Amen to that. Now, I know Michael Bullock is not a big UFC guy, and we can respect that. So I know he probably doesn't have any comment on this. But it's probably a no comment for him.
Yeah, no comment. So I say just toss it to Fletch.
Yeah. All right, Michael Fletcher. I know you've been waiting all night to unleash your inner Cerebral Viper on this one. So, floor is yours, Cerebral Viper. Let him have it.
Okay, let me just be real honest with you. What happened with Anderson Silva was shocking. I mean, I was beyond floored when I heard that he failed the first time around. Then I got really ticked off when I found out that he failed a second time the night of the fight, that he tested positive again. Now, I'm not gonna buy the argument that it was a tainted sexually performance enhancing, sexual performance pill. Don't give me that. I'm not stupid. I'm not an idiot. Don't give me that weakness. Now, the thing is that a lot of people wonder, well, is Anderson out for one full year? No. His suspension is actually retroactive to the night of the fight when he got suspended. So technically, he's only suspended from now until January 31st. Then he'll be allowed to be reinstated after he takes another drug test administered by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So if he passes that test, he is actually going to be reinstated and he gets his license back, and then he'll be able to fight once again in the UFC. So, I mean, he did lose the purse, which is about $300,000, which, dude, that sucks when you lose money, man, especially that much. But he brought it on himself. That's all I could say about it. Now, I get the theory that, he needed to do it because, he suffered that debilitating leg injury and look, I'm not going to knock that. That is a credible excuse, and I understand that. I saw the fight. I saw it. And I saw how that leg shattered. So, and it still creeps me out to this very day. So I get it why he did it. But the reasoning behind it is what I can't stand for. And that's why I don't believe it. I understand why he did it. If he would have said, well, I was trying to get my leg back because I shattered it and I wanted to get it back quicker than sooner than possible, okay. But you also got to remember, there is certain things that you got to be careful with, because any over-the-counter drug, unless you tell Nevada, hey, I'm taking this thing, I want to let you know I got it medically cleared by a doctor. He said it might be tainted, but I'm trying to do this so that I can get back at full strength. Maybe Nevada would have gave you a slap on the wrist saying, okay, we're not going to suspend you, we'll fine you, but don't ever do that again. But just to say that, I got it from an African nation, and it was a tainted thing. No, Anderson, that nobody's gonna believe you, and that's why you got suspended for what you did. Now, here's the other thing: there is new rules implemented in the UFC, or I should say, that if Anderson would have been busted under the new rules, he would have been suspended from 3 to 4 years. His career would be over. As such, he might be able to get back, because after January, I'm thinking give him a few weeks. He could be back in the octagon by at least March or April of 2016, guys. And he's about 40 years old. So what will happen then? We'll wait and see. But up to this point, he's very lucky that he didn't get slapped severe, because this is the first offense. So that's why he only got a year. But he's only about to serve about 5 months of it, because it's retroactive from all the way back in January. And look at where we are now. We're on August 15th, 2015. So you got to go through September, October, November, December, January. So about 5 months he's got to have to serve. And then once he's cleared, then he's got to take a drug test. Once he takes that, he's back. He's better than ever. And Anderson the Spider Silva will once again be raiding the UFC. So we'll wait and see what happens then. But for that, no rant, no major rant for me tonight. Anthony, it's all yours.
All right. You would think we were going to get into our power rankings, but no. These two guys right here both have special stories. Well, this next story here. Now we get, and you know what the best part about this show from here on out is? No more hard times, no more Noggin Diva, Dinkelberg BS. No, we're done with that. But for this show for tonight. Nothing but positivity the rest of the way. Triple main event. And we're going to start it off with our own Michael Bullock. Michael Bullock this past Monday was at McCoy Stadium for the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Softball game. And wait till you hear what he has to tell. Wait till you hear what he has to say about this. Not just his experiences, but he got to interview some people, folks. Yes, he does something. He does have other projects on the side, and of course the one that I know he cherishes all his projects, but I know the one he cherishes other than this, of course, his the show that he works for, Special Olympics Magazine, which airs on the channel that's formerly Cox 3. Formerly was Cox 3. It's now known as, I guess, the Ocean State Channel or something like that. But
OSN.
OSN. Yeah, Ocean State Network or something like that. So yes. So with that said, Michael Bullock, the floor is all yours. How was the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Softball game? And folks, wait till you hear the list of names he interviewed, including one massive big name in particular. So, Mr. Bullock, I give you the floor. It's all yours.
All right. Yes. So Monday, I went to the second annual Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Softball Classic. It's part of a triple event because they had a comedy show that went on the night before, and then of course the Softball Classic, and then of course the usual Jeffrey Osborne golf tournament that goes on. And when I was there Monday, I mean, the list of celebrities that were there was just, I mean, it's a huge list. Like ESPN's Doris Burke was there. Former New England Patriots players, Ty Law, Jermaine Wiggins, and of course, and even some from the entertainment world, like Chris Tucker. Cedric the Entertainer, and even some news personalities like Michaela Johnson, who was there, Frank Carpano, yeah, and I mean, I can go on and on, but of course I'll be here all night, running through all the list. Now, let's get to the good stuff. The people that I did interview, one of them, the head coach of the Providence College Friars, Ed Cooley. I talked to him about his involvement with the Jeffrey Osborne softball game and some of the expectations for his team, the PC Friars, this upcoming season. And he's a real good guy. And of course, I got to interview former Patriots tight end Jermaine Wiggins. Yeah, I talked about his involvement and what he thought about the Patriots Super Bowl win and what can he expect from them. And yeah, and then of course, I got to interview a couple of news people. Of course, sports director Yanni Caracas from Channel 12. I asked him about what's it like to take part in the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Softball Classic and in his time as sports director over in Channel 12. And I asked him, like, what was his favorite moment during his time as sports director? Of course, you know what his answer is going to be. getting to cover Super Bowl 49 and watching the Patriots win it. So we had a nice little interview there. And then, of course, I got to interview Joe Kayada from Channel 10. Same thing. I mean, he said this is it was his second time being involved with the softball classic, and talked about his tenure over at Channel 10, and of course his favorite sports and some of the things he's covered. Of course, same thing, Super Bowl 49. Seeing the Patriots win it, but then of course the biggest interview that I've done, and I'm gonna pull it off on my phone. I'm gonna actually turn my camera. I'm actually gonna turn my camera on right now, so you guys can see this. All right, I have my phone. This is the guy who I interviewed. Yes, you're not seeing things. That is Earvin Magic Johnson. Yes, I got to interview him, and he was the one guy I wanted to try to interview, and boy howdy, I was just so excited to get to interview him, talk about his involvement with the Jeffrey Osborne softball classic, and of course the golf tournament that goes on. And we even talked a little bit about the Celtics-Lakers rivalry. Of course, who could ever forget his involvement? Of course, in some of those NBA Finals matchup, and of course his friendship with Celtics great Larry Bird, and he even gave some advice to Special Olympics Rhode Island athletes who want to become professional basketball players, and I posed for a picture with him afterwards, and yeah, I mean, it was just something just to get to stand next to and interview one of the greatest players in NBA history, a man who one of the all-time greats in Lakers history. Unfortunate that his career had to be cut short because of the HIV virus, or being diagnosed with AIDS, I should say. But just being able to stand next to him, interview him, and talk some things about the Jeffrey Osborne Classic and the Celtics-Lakers rivalry, I mean, it was just awesome being up close with him. And of course, you could tell from that picture he was just a little bit taller than me. Not too many people can say they can be a little bit taller with me, but all in all, it was an awesome experience being at that softball classic with all the famous, all the different sports athletes and celebrities that are there. But like I said, the highlight, getting to interview Magic Johnson. All right, so do you guys have any questions about it, Florio, Fletcher?
Well, I'm very curious. Who won the game? Who won the celebrity softball game?
I think it was the East that won it. I don't have a final score, but I'm pretty sure the East won it.
Okay.
How much did do you know the figure about how much they actually raised? Because it has to. They probably would have announced it at the game how much they would have raised.
I didn't hear of how much they raised, but hopefully I can go on their website at some point and find the actual total that they raised for this event. But all in all, I mean, it was a great turnout, and
yeah,
I mean, it's not too often you get to see different sports athletes and celebrities that actually come to Rhode Island and take time out of their busy schedule to to be part of this great event, like the Jeffrey Osborne softball classic or the golf tournament for that matter, and to get to see guys.
That's usually the highlight. I mean, the main event is the golf tournament. I mean, and Jeffrey Osborne, a frequent guest on one of our favorite shows, The Road Show. And
and he actually did sing the national anthem.
Oh, nice.
I bet he killed it. Like,
he killed it. He killed it. I mean, he did an awesome rendition of the national anthem.
Yes, and I'm not like the biggest diehard Jeffrey Osborne fan, but I do know. I do have one particular song of his that stands out for me. That's one of my all-time personal favorites, "On the Wings of Love." I mean, that's his biggest hit, and there are some others, but that's my all-time favorite song. I love that.
Yeah, but it's just awesome to get to see all those celebrities basically come to one place like Rhode Island and support a great event like this.
Did you get any pictures with anybody else, Bullock, or was it just Magic?
It was just him, but it's something I'll treasure forever.
I would too.
Absolutely.
I mean, not many people can say that they got to be up close to someone like Magic Johnson.
Was that like the awestruck moment for you, just to know that it's Magic, or was there another person that you just thought?
That was an awestruck moment there.
You were absolutely starstruck. Okay.
I mean, there were times I was still like saying to myself, even when I was interviewing, I'm like, I can't believe I'm standing next to and interviewing and getting to take a picture with one of the all-time greats in the NBA, in Magic Johnson. I mean, that was just awesome. It's something I'll always remember forever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't believe I've experienced any of those awe moments myself. Meaning a legend in the world of sports or pro wrestling or anything like that. Now, many moons ago, Michael Fletcher, as you know, you got to be up close and personal with Tito Santana. Everybody remembers that.
Yeah, back in like you said, it was years ago. As a matter of fact, it goes all the way back to 1991. I was actually a part of the Special Olympics team for Team East Providence, and actually it was my mother that actually she actually met Tito Santana first, and
Nice.
I was actually hanging out. I had just won a race. I won the gold medal, and I had my medal on me, and I was just kicking back, hanging out with my dad and with a couple of people, and my mom actually grabs me. She's like, "You got to meet somebody." And my mom's not a diehard wrestling fan. I'm gonna admit that right now. She's not the one that you would think is a wrestling fan, but something at that moment she was like, I don't know, maybe it was the shirt, it was him, but she was walking me over. I didn't know who it was, and there's Tito Santana right there. My jaw drops, and I'm literally shaking his hand, and he's admiring my gold medal, man. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And then later on in the day, I actually got to meet him again, and that's when I got the actual autograph, because I was with my father, and we had to get in line because they were doing an autograph session, and I got to meet him a second time.
That must have been something to be up close with someone like Tito Santana.
At the time, and the thing is that, remember, Tito was still, he was still coming off that big run in WWF at the time. He was, at the time, he was really a real good mid-card guy, but he was starting to get into, the twilight of his career as well, because when you're talking 91, so you're talking about maybe mid-card, and this was before he became El Matador, Tito Santana. So he was still Tito Santana.
Yeah, that's why I was just about to ask you. But I guess you could say he was pretty much still Tito Santana at the time before he became El Matador.
He he was still months away from being known as El Matador. So I mean, he was still had at least, I want to say about a half a year later, like 6 months later was when he did the gimmick change.
Now I got a question for you, Fletch.
Yes.
I know this sounds crazy, but did you get him to do the Arriba?
No, I did not. I was too awestruck, man. I couldn't.
I couldn't help myself. I was just a little curious about it. So
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I didn't get to.
well, actually, I actually got to be up close with some wrestlers as well. Well, one of them was actually Jerry the King Lawler, and this was like back a long time ago, back in the mid '90s when he was at Bob's. Huh?
When he was a heel, right?
Yeah, but and he was signing autographs at Bob's stores in Seekonk at the time, and
Nice.
I was in line, and I actually got an autograph from him, and that's an awesome moment for me to be up close with Jerry the King Lawler, and he's still around to this very day.
Absolutely.
And the other two moments was actually at Fantasyland, also back in the mid '90s. I actually got an autograph from the late Owen Hart, and
Wow.
and also another member of the Hart family that passed away, the British Bulldog, Davy Boy Smith.
Oh, killing me.
So yeah, I mean, now that's something I can treasure forever.
I would. I certainly would. I mean,
But here's a crazy story I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, before the announcement that Owen Hart and the British Bulldog were there, there was someone who was supposed to be there. A certain Phenom was supposed to be there.
Oh man.
When my uncle told me about it, I was so excited. I was jumping up and down like crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I finally gonna get to meet my hero up close and personal? And then all of a sudden, one of the guys from WWF at the time came up and said, "Oh, the Undertaker's not gonna be here," and I was like, "Oh, damn it!" I mean, it was like taking a knife and basically stabbing you right in the heart and twisting it. I'm like, did you have to do this to me?
Oh man, so close yet so far away.
Yeah, but I mean, that's still the one thing I want to do is get a chance to meet the Undertaker up close and personal.
Wow.
You know,
Amazing.
I've been fortunate enough to meet some wrestlers up close and personal. The night of Backlash, I actually got to meet Teddy Long. I actually got to meet Matt Stryker. I actually got to meet a couple of the guys as well, and I actually got to meet Joey Styles after the show was over.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh my God, indeed. He was leaving the arena. You know, Big Show waved goodbye to us. Edge, actually, Edge was snickering the crowd. Edge and Christian both came out. Edge still had the newly minted WWE Championship draped over his arm.
The world heavyweight title.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the World Heavyweight title.
The World Heavyweight title, the newly minted belt, and apparently it actually had his name plate on the belt. Somebody was able to get like a real up close photo of the belt, and they said, "Oh man, they put the nameplate on it." I was like, "What?" And they actually showed me the camera phone, and you saw the name Edge encrusted on the belt. So he had it.
Wow.
And then the one thing that just to piss the fans off, he did the "You Can't See Me" at all the fans, and everyone was all cheering for Edge. And then the minute he did that, they all were yelling, "Bleep you!" You know, all this stuff. Classic heel. Classic heel.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: if I had the chance to see the Undertaker, I would basically get my DVDs that I have and have him autograph it.
Yeah. And of course.
And there's another thing I gotta tell you. Well, it was back in I think it was around late June, early July. There was some kind of event that was going on at the Rhode Island Convention Center where they had different wrestlers and divas from the past that were there, like Alberto Del Rio, Jim Ross, Eric Bischoff, Lita, John Morrison, and actually my uncle and my two cousins actually went to that, and my uncle actually had his picture taken with Lita, and she actually admired the tattoos that he had on his arm. She actually took a picture of it on her phone.
Wow.
And then my uncle and my cousin Eric actually had their picture taken with Kelly, who was there.
Oh.
Who was on that new show Wags on the E now with that new reality show. You're not missing anything. It's god awful. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then my other cousin, her name is Tori Dakota. She actually got to have her picture taken with John Morrison.
Yeah.
The Shaman of Sexy.
Yeah.
House of Wisdom.
Johnny Mundo in Lucha Underground.
Yep, Lucha Underground indeed.
Yeah, and it was around that time I was away. I was like, damn it! If I wasn't going up to New Hampshire with my parents, I definitely would have gone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was just recently, right?
Yeah, that was back
Yeah.
back in late June, early July.
Yeah, late June. That last Saturday in June. I had a family commitment of my own that day too. So
Actually, and the thing is that Alberto Del Rio was a no-show. He actually no-showed for that event, if memory serves me correct.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
No-showed.
yeah,
He was supposed to be there. He didn't show up.
yeah. But the point is, the point I'm trying to make here is that you two guys have gotten to meet some famous folks in the world of professional wrestling and in sports. Of course, a couple of years ago, about a year and a half or so ago, Michael Fletcher got to meet Jenny Dell and some other famous legends of the Boston Red Sox as the World Series trophy was on display shortly after the Red Sox.
And there's another thing. I don't know if you know this, Fletch. I'm pretty sure I told Florio about this, but I went to Patriots training camp back in 2009, and I actually got an autograph from Tom Brady himself.
How about that?
He was. Yeah, we had these like VIP seats that. Well, it was basically because my aunt works for some company, so she managed to get the seats there, and we were like standing. Of course, the players do autographs after their practice, and we were like waiting to see, who's coming down the line, and who was coming down the line? Tom Brady. So I was like getting everything I need ready to get autographed. One of the books that I had, and he even signed a Patriots jersey, and oddly enough, it was a Tom Brady jersey.
Yeah, so we've all had our brushes with fame, and Derek Ferrera, as you know, last year he went to that house show. He got the VIP treatment, and he got to meet his diva crush. He got to meet Paige, and he got to meet Barrett, a few others. So lucky for him. So, but yes, this definitely went a lot longer than I expected it to. But nonetheless, though, good information from Michael Bullock there about the Jeffrey Osborne game there. Getting to meet Magic Johnson and all that. Good for you. So, Fletch and I, on behalf of myself and Fletcher, jealous. That's all there is to say on that. We're jealous of you. So, all right. One more thing.
But in a good way.
Yes, in a good way. One more thing before we move on to our power rankings. Our other big main event here. This is something that we've been hyping pretty much for the whole show, and this is something I've been waiting the last couple of hours for. So, without further ado, it is now time. You've heard a big announcement. First, it was big announcement Dixie. Then it was big announcement Derek. Then it was big announcement Tony. And now tonight, I give you the debut of big announcement Mikey. All right, Mikey, what is this big announcement you got for us?
All right. As many of you know, tomorrow night I'm supposed to go to the RWA show and be at Warwick, Rhode Island. I already mentioned that on the Wrestling Forum. What I didn't mention is for the first time in over 10 years, yours truly is going back to Fenway Park. That's right, gentlemen. The big announcement is that I am going to Fenway Park this Sunday afternoon to watch your Boston Red Sox versus the Seattle Mariners. And for the proof in the pudding, here it is, guys. The official ticket. This is from Ace Ticket itself. I am going to be in Bleacher 40, row 3, which is almost dead center, right around the point of the Bermuda Triangle, as they would say. And the thing is, it's not one, it's two. Who's the other person that's going to be with me for this glorious event? None other than the First Lady of Strictly Sports herself, Kaiser Marie Butler, is going to accompany me to the game on Sunday afternoon. She's a big Robinson Cano fan. We have been planning this for at least a couple of months now, and everything came to fruition. So Sunday afternoon, I am heading to Fenway Park.
Jealous. But
Yeah,
good for you, Fletch.
10 years ago, July 31st, 2005, Michael Fletcher was there at Fenway Park with a couple of his buddies to see the debut of one Jonathan Papelbon. Yes, he was there for that. When Jonathan Papelbon made his debut with the Boston Red Sox as a starting pitcher, Fletch was there.
5 1/3 inning, gave up 2 runs, and actually struck out 3 in his debut. It was consistent. It was a good. But the big moment of the game was in the bottom of the 8th, the emergence of Mamram, Manny Ramirez, and hits a clutch base hit up the middle that scored Edgar Renteria, which gave the 3-2. And then here's something for you, and I know Red Sox fans remember this very well. Curt Schilling came out in the 9th and slammed the door on a 3-2 Red Sox win.
Yeah. So there you go. So how about that, Michael Fletcher? Going to Fenway Park, Boston Red Sox against the Seattle Mariners on Sunday.
Got my glove today. I paid about $30 for it, and I want to snag a ball now. Now I want a home run down my way because I want to snag one. I want it.
I hope you get it, Fletch.
I want it.
Here it is.
But I will say this: if it's a Robinson Cano or Xavier Bogaerts or David Ortiz, a big poppy blast, I might have to fight Kaiser Butler for it because she said she wants it bad. She wants Cano's ball bad.
Oh, of course.
I kind of made a deal with her that if I catch Cano's ball, I'll give it to her. But any others, I'm keeping it for myself. Forget you.
It is very well documented, the love affair that Kaiser Marie Butler has for Robinson Cano, dating back to his days with the New York Yankees. No question about that.
And Xavier Bogaerts, she actually started liking him about a season ago. So yeah, there's a conflict of interest, but I'm excited. I'm very excited to go to Fenway Park, man. Haven't been there in 10 years. Cannot wait. And on top of that, I'm even trying to plan to go to TD Garden to see the Boston Celtics and the Chicago Bulls. That's kind of gray area right now because, like I said, the schedule just came out, and so we got to wait and see how tickets are. But I'm trying to get that in the works as of now. So
wow,
it's going to be pretty busy the next couple of months.
Yeah, definitely. Very good information to say the very least, and Fletch makes some great points. And unfortunately, you won't get to share your experiences next Friday night because, as you know, next Friday night there will be no Strictly Sports. We're going to have a special Friday night edition of the Wrestling Forum, where we'll be previewing the NXT TakeOver and, of course, the biggest party of the summer, the 28th annual SummerSlam. But the following week, August 28th, maybe hopefully we'll we can get that in the works. We'll have you share your experiences of that as part of one of our Strictly Sports exclusives. So, so there you go. So, all right. Great news to say the very least. We hope you have a blast with that, Fletch. So, so yeah. It's now time, folks, for the main event. The Major League Baseball Power Rankings. They're here and they're now. And I'm just going to say it like this. On this night tonight, there will be a new number one. Well, at least for me, there will be a new number one in the Major League Baseball Power Rankings. You heard it here first. And I know a certain super fan of ours is going to be more than thrilled when he hears that announcement. So, so yes, I'm just going to say it like this. I do have a dud team in this ranking this time around, and that team, I hate to say it, it's the Washington Nationals. Really not liking their body of work right now. But then again, they weren't even in the rankings on the last show, so still not there this time. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They're losing right now to the Giants, and yeah, they're definitely going the wrong way, as they say. So, so yeah, and don't really have any honorable mentions. Pretty much everything is holding par right now. So, so there you go. And I do have another. There is a dud team. Yes. Not really liking their body of work right now. The Baltimore Orioles, 2-game losing streak, 4-6 in their last 10. I think it's time to say vamonos to them. So vamonos, Baltimore Orioles. No, not in the rankings this week, but maybe next week we'll see. So, so with that said, just wanted to get those off my chest. So I'm going to start it off at number 10. This is an easy number 10. I'm going to start it off with the Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers are my number 10 in the rankings this week. 57-57 record. They've won 2 in a row. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. And we don't really have much to look up because, we just did the show Sunday night. So, so since our last rankings, they, they didn't fare too well against Seattle. They lost 2 out of 3 there. But they also lost 2 out of 3 to Texas. I mean, they also lost 2 out of 3 to Minnesota, I should say. But they won the final game of that Minnesota series, and then they won tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays. So, so that's pretty good right there. They got 2 more games against the Rays this weekend at home, and then they welcome the Mariners back to town for a 3-game series starting on Monday, and then starting next Thursday, a 4-game series at Comerica Park against the Detroit Tigers, 4-game set. So, so yeah, they won 2 in a row, salvaging the last game of that Minnesota series and off to a good start against the Tampa Bay Rays tonight, the win. So, so with that said, my number 10, it is the Texas Rangers. So, so Michael Bullock, let's have your number 10.
Actually, I do agree with who you have at number 10. It is the Texas Rangers. So, yeah, you pretty much touched on everything on them. So, I really got nothing more to say except I'm just going to move on to Fletch's number 10.
I agree. Texas Rangers, number 10, no doubt about it. Anthony, you made some valid points. Let's move on to number 9.
Florio?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to unmute my mic. I thought I had my mic off, but yeah. I'm guessing Bullock's not ready with his number 9. Or are you, Bullock?
You can give it to Fletch.
Yeah, I figured. All right, Fletch, your number 9.
All right, my number 9, guys. You did talk about the Texas Rangers, and that's definitely no doubt about it. I mean, they are worthy enough of that spot. My number 9 is a team. Well, they're playing really good right now. If they do win, I'll bring them to 5-5 in the last 10 games. I believe they would definitely be about 2 game. They would be about right now. They're 2.5 out on the division lead. I gotta go with number 9 is, in my opinion, the reigning, defending World Series champions, the San Francisco Giants. They did win the last game, which was a couple of days ago, over the Washington Nationals. They're playing again right now, and like you said, they are winning that game. So if they do hold on and do finish that, that'll be 2 in a row for them. And I truly believe that they need to turn a corner. They're only 2.5 out, so they're right there in the division mix. The Dodgers have been not great. They're also in my rankings here tonight. But at least for my number 9, I'm going to give it to the San Francisco Giants. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Fletch. The San Francisco Giants are my number 9 as well. Well, hang on. Let me see. I know it's a West Coast team. It's either them or the Angels that I have at number 9. Actually, I think I actually have the Angels at number 9. I got the Giants just a smidge higher, to be honest with you. Coming off of that disastrous series with the Cubbies last weekend when they got swept 4 in a row. Actually, no. Actually, it is not the Angels. The Angels are actually another one of my dud teams. They were in my rankings last week, but a poor week this week. I got to punish them. After salvaging the final game of that Orioles series on my birthday, they got swept 3 in a row by the White Sox. That's not going to help matters. Even though they did beat Kansas City Thursday night, they lost to them tonight. If they had won tonight, then maybe I would have had them still in there. But I'm sorry. After a poor showing this week, I got to punish the Angels. I got to kick them out of my rankings. I got to vominos them too. So now that Flex mentions it, I think it does make sense to put the San Francisco Giants at number 9. They're 61-53 right now. They could be 62-53 if they should hang on against the Nationals. They're leading them 7-5. That's in the bottom of the 7th inning, I do believe. So, actually, bottom of the 8th rather. So they're definitely closing in on their second straight win over the Nationals. The struggling Nationals, to say the very least. They've been terrible. They got swept 4 in a row by the Cubs last weekend. But then this week, solid week, they split a 2-game interleague series with the Houston Astros. They won the first game on Tuesday, and then they lost the second game on Wednesday. They beat the Nationals on Thursday, 3-1. They're leading them right now, 7-5. So they're looking for 2 in a row against the Nats. So that's a big deal if they do that. They have 2 more games against the Nationals this weekend, and then get ready for this, boys. A 3-game series with the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis on Monday night. Major implications on that. And then, oh my goodness, fellas, it does not get any easier after that. Thursday, they get a 4-game series with the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh. Oh, if that doesn't scream murderer's row to you guys, I don't know what does. I mean, that is a murderer's row schedule right there. Having to go to St. Louis for 3, and then to Pittsburgh for 4, and oh, by the way, Mr. Bullock, you got a scheduling conflict because next Sunday night, as you know, August 23rd, that's SummerSlam. Giants and Pirates is Sunday Night Baseball that same night. How do you like that? So, yeah.
I'm gonna have to have the WWE Network on my iPad going while with the Sunday night game going as well.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, that's right. So,
even though there's a strong chance I'm probably going to be next door over at my uncle's watching SummerSlam. Although I do have the Watch ESPN app, so I can watch it then.
Yeah, I mentioned Sunday Night Baseball because it's well documented. Michael Bullock is a diehard Sunday Night Baseball fan. He loves the.
Oh, I just love the body of work of Dan Shulman, John Kruk, and of course Curt Schilling.
Absolutely, and And I know you'll be watching this Sunday night when the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim battle the Kansas City Royals at Kauffman Stadium in a AL Division Series rematch.
Oh yeah.
So,
and even though I was also a big fan of when John Miller and Joe Morgan were used to do Sunday Night Baseball.
that's me in Fletch territory right there.
Oh, I know that, but I like their body of work as well.
Yeah, so does all of us did. I mean, Miller and Morgan was so fun to watch. I mean, like I said, that's Fletch and I's territory right there. I mean, he was the John Miller, I was the Joe Morgan, and we definitely had a lot of fun with some of those matchups. But nonetheless, I just felt.
Hi everyone, I'm John Miller along with my partner Joe Morgan here.
Yep, absolutely. And the Giants' schedule, I just noticed this. I mean, it's bad enough they have to play St. Louis and Pittsburgh next week, guys, but after that, they got the Cubs again, and then the Cardinals after that. Oh, goodness. And then the Dodgers. I mean, goodness gracious, guys, they got a murderer's row schedule this thick, as long as our arms here. I mean, Cardinals for 3 in St. Louis, Pittsburgh for 4, and then the Cubbies after that. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh. Boy, howdy. That's the perks of being a World Series champion, folks. That's all there is to it. You get tested, big time tested. So that's it. That's pretty much all I can say on that. What a murderer's row schedule indeed. My goodness gracious. So with that said, San Francisco Giants are my number 9 as well. Michael Flood is absolutely correct. Michael Bullock, are we going to make it unanimous here or what?
Yes, I'm going to make it unanimous. San Francisco Giants, number 9. So really got nothing more to say except let's move on to number 8.
Alrighty, number 8. I'm gonna start it off here. I'll say it like this. Like I said, my number 1. It's a new number 1. It's a no-brainer. Well, my top 2 are no-brainers actually. Actually make it top 3. Top 3 pretty much going to be the same. Only it's going to be a little different. So okay. Moving on to let's see here. To me, this next team that I have at number 8, I mean, they're starting. I mean, I know the last 10 is not sexy at all. Very dismal, 3-7 in their last 10 games, but they have turned the corner. They have won 2 games in a row, and in all honesty, the only reason why this team's even still in the power rankings is because they're a first-place team, and it would be wrong to kick this team out, even though they're a first-place team. So my number 8 is the Houston Astros. I mean, they've won 2 games in a row. Like I said, they're 3-7 in the last 10 games. They still maintain first in the AL West. 2.5-game lead over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And coming off of that dismal series with the Oakland A's, they split that 2-game series with San Francisco. They salvaged the second game, and then they won tonight against the Detroit Tigers, another team that's been struggling, to say the very least. A 5-1 win over Detroit tonight. They get the Tigers for 2 more at home this weekend, and then they welcome the Tampa Bay Rays for 4 starting on Monday, 4-game set. And then next Friday, a huge interleague series, major implications here, guys, against the Los Angeles Dodgers at home. And then on top of that, well, we can actually carry this over because, remember, there's going to be no Strictly Sports next week, so I can carry this over. Then after that, after SummerSlam, the 24th through the 26th, a huge 3-game series at the stadium against my New York Yankees. Oh, baby. Major implications there. Because remember, our next power rankings will be in 2 weeks on August 28th, and I'm going to have an announcement about that show. So yeah, turning the corner, but still, I mean, I know the 3-7 in the last 10 is not good at all, but the only reason why they're still even in my rankings is because of the fact that they are, a first-place team for the moment. So with that said, my number 8 is the Houston Astros. So Michael Bullock, your number 8.
I do agree. The Houston Astros are my number 8 as well. Yeah, like you said, the last 10 really hasn't fared that well. 3-7, but like you said, winning the last 2, and like you just said, leading the division. So I think as long as you're leading the division, you're still going to be in these rankings. So, yeah, so really got nothing more to say. You pretty much touched on everything. So Houston Astros are my number 8. So Fletcher, you're number 8.
It's unanimous again. Houston Astros, no doubt about it. Nothing more to say. Let's move on.
Michael Bullock, do you want number 7, or do you want Fletcher to take it?
Oh, yeah, just have Fletcher take this one. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I know I could.
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry, I had to unmute my mic, guys. My number 7 going in here. Well, I have to say it. We went through one of the teams. We were talking about one of the teams that basically Anthony went with the 3-7 route with the number 7 team. This team, I gotta say it. They're now 5-5. Apparently, they have indeed won. So I can say this with certainty that the team that I select is the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers did indeed win. They are 5-5. They're at 65-51 overall. They beat the Cincinnati Reds 5-3 in this very late evening, and they deserve it. I mean, they've done all right. I mean, overall body of work could be a little better. And like I said, it was a neck and neck race. It was between them and another team who is in the first place as well. But I kind of feel like this is the right position for, at least in my eyes. So with that said, the team I'd say is the LA Dodgers. Anthony, go.
Yep. That Joe Buck and Tim McCarver telepathy is back once again. The Los Angeles Dodgers. That's exactly where I was heading long before Fletch, pleaded his case. But yeah, he's absolutely correct. The Los Angeles Dodgers are my number 7 as well. They have won. They got the win tonight against the Cincinnati Reds. So they now have a 3-game lead over the Giants in the NL West. So coming off of that bad series against Pittsburgh, they got better. They took 2 out of 3 from the Washington Nationals this week, and then so far they're 1-1 against the Cincinnati Reds because Cincinnati put a 10-3 beatdown on them on Thursday night. So they have 2 more against the Reds this weekend at Dodger Stadium, and then they're off on Monday, and then they go to Oakland for a 2-game interleague series with the Oakland A's. And then, of course, don't forget next weekend that big interleague series against the Houston Astros, 3-game series in Houston, and then they get the Reds again for a 3-game series in Cincinnati, the 25th through the 27th, and then when we do our next rankings in 2 weeks, August 28th, another major power ranking implication series, the Dodgers at home against Matt Ward's Chicago Cubs for a 3-game series. And oh, by the way, I just found this. Sunday Night Baseball, Bullet, August 30th, Cubs and Dodgers, Dodger Stadium, baby. There you go. So there's your Sunday night game for August 30th, for the week after SummerSlam. So we got 3 good matchups coming up on Sunday Night Baseball. Angels-Royals this weekend, and then Giants and Pirates on the night of SummerSlam, and then Cubs and Dodgers. So there you go. 3 big matchups right there, all with power ranking implications, to say the very least. So yeah, I mean, Greinke continuing to do his thing, Kershaw doing his thing. So yeah, the LA Dodgers are my number 7 as well. So Michael Bullock, are we going to make it unanimous one more time?
Let's make it unanimous one more time. LA Dodgers, number 7. So, yeah, you guys pretty much touched on everything. So let's move on to number 6, Florio.
Yes, sir. Number 6. I will take this one. And tell you what, as I look at the remaining standings here, this is where it starts to get a little bit easier. Not a whole lot, but like I said, the top 3 is a no-brainer for me. Absolutely. All right. Mine. All right. I got it now. My number 6, guys. It's very simple. Um, man, I was more than pleasant. I was not only surprised by the outcome of this game tonight, but I was pleasantly surprised with the outcome of this game tonight. When I tell you who I have at number 6 this time around, my number 6, I got to do it. It's my team, the New York Yankees, guys. I mean, I know they're 4-6 in the last 10, but who the hell cares? I mean, they picked up a humongous win tonight, and I do mean humongous. So humongous that they've taken back first place in the AL East by a half a game over what was the hottest team in baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays, which, as you know, has cost the Toronto Blue Jays the number 1 spot for the second week in a row. They were this close to it, but here you go. The Yanks come in at number 6 after that disastrous series against Toronto and an equally disastrous series with the Cleveland Indians, where they lost the first 2 games of that Cleveland series, including a 5-4, 16-inning thriller on Tuesday night at Progressive Jacobs Field. But the Yankees salvaged the final game of that Cleveland series on Thursday with an 8-6 win. But then tonight, like the Genesis song, one of my favorite Genesis songs off the Invisible Touch album. Yes, tonight, they went to Toronto, and they beat the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, they did. They cooled off. The hottest team in baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays, 4-3 win tonight. Thanks in large part. Well, here's the thing. Toronto had a 3-0 lead after 3 innings, and then the Yanks exploded for 4 runs in the 8th inning. A ground rule double by Chase Headley, scoring Mark Teixeira, and then the big blow. Carlos Beltran, baby. Carlos Beltran. 3-run home run, scoring Brian McCann and Chase Headley. That was the difference maker. Ivan Nova, the winner. Aaron Sanchez, the loss. Andrew Miller with his 26th save. Ugh. What a win for the Yanks tonight. This could not have come at a better time, man. Wow. I was scared to death going into this series, especially after what Toronto did at the stadium last weekend. But then for the Yanks to go into Toronto after another disastrous series with Cleveland, a series that they should have had better luck with. You know, they salvaged that final game with Cleveland, but then this win tonight. Oh, wow. Wow. I could not have been more happier or more thrilled with a win than this win tonight. Hopefully, I'm hoping they can keep it going, but I'm not holding my breath on that. This is just the first one. And we got 2 more against these guys in Skydome, Rogers Center, this weekend. And then following that, they will go up against the Minnesota Twins. That's a 3-game series at the stadium starting Monday night. And then Thursday night, next weekend, a 4-game series also at the stadium. Another shot at the Cleveland Indians. Trust me, we got revenge on our minds against Cleveland. And then, of course, the big 3-game series with power ranking implications against the Houston Astros. That's also at the stadium. So, oh man, after they leave Toronto, they're in for a major homestand here. We're looking at about a 10-game homestand here. The 3 with Minnesota, 4 with Cleveland, 3 more with Houston. That's 10 games right there. And then, I can't wait for this. 2 weeks from now, that's when we do our next rankings. 3-game interleague series. Michael Fletcher, I hope you're watching and listening. Yankees Braves in 2 weeks at Turner Field. How about that, huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that, man. Looking forward to that. And to me, I'm just hoping that it'll be a replay of 96 and 99. You know what I mean? So there you go. Number 6, the New York Yankees, cooling off the hottest team in baseball tonight and knocking them from their top spot. So with that said, Michael Bullock, I give it to you. You're number 6.
Yes, the New York Yankees is my number 6. Man, oh man, I saw some of the highlights, and boy, howdy, Yankees really needed a win like that against Toronto, especially after the disaster series they had against them. So good for you, Florio, and good for you, New York Yankees, and hopefully this will give them some confidence the rest of the way against the Yankees. So, I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays, I should say. So, yeah, you pretty much touched on everything. The New York Yankees is my number 6. So, with that being said, I give it to you, Fletch, with your number 6.
I actually have to agree. It is the New York Yankees, no doubt about it. Anthony made very valid, compelling points until he talked about my Atlanta Braves. Now you started a war you should not have started with me, Florio. Because I remember 96 and 99. Yeah, 99, we didn't stand a chance. 96, we had you on the ropes. 2-0, and then unfortunately, yeah, the Yankee bats and it silenced us, but we almost had you boys right where we picking. And trust me, I haven't forgotten those 2 series. Payback time when you come to the TED. We're going to be ready. And yeah, the team might not be is what it was earlier in the year, but trust me, we've had moments where we've snuck and surprised a few teams along the way. So we'll be ready for the Yankees. And trust me, we definitely have thoughts in our minds of knocking New York off the perch in the AL East. And I know Toronto would love to see Atlanta do some damage to the Yanks. So we'll be ready for you boys in a couple of weeks. We'll see you. We'll see you in Turner.
You know, like Shawn Michaels famously said at WrestleMania 13, "That's so weird." Yeah, your team's going nowhere, Fletch. I mean, but I want to admit something, though, when it comes to your Bravos real quick. There's a young man on this team that I'm actually taking a liking to, Jace Peterson. I really like this kid. I mean, I'm really definitely liking that kid, as well as Adonis Garcia. I'm definitely liking his body of work, too. I mean, especially after what he did in that great comeback win against the Giants some time ago. So there are a couple of youngsters on your Braves that I definitely have likings for, and of course, you know the guy I like the most on your team. That's Freddie Freeman. I mean, I love that young man's body of work. So, but yeah, I know it's a down year for your Bravos, but you never know. Anything can happen. So, but we'll wait and see on that in 2 weeks. So yes. So we all agree across the board the Yanks are number 6. So now we move on, and now we're in the top 5 now, guys. So yes, Michael Bullock, do you want to start off at number 5, or do we once again give it to Fletch?
I'll actually take this.
All right, go for it.
All right, my number 5. I'm gonna go with the New York Mets as my number 5. Well, let's go through the body of work with them. I mean, yes, they did lose 2 out of 3 to the Tampa Bay Rays last weekend, but they did bounce back and sweep a 4-game set against the Colorado Rockies. But then again, with the way the Colorado Rockies have been playing this season, I think it's very easy to say that anybody could beat them. But of course, they did lose tonight to the Pittsburgh Pirates. So that really hurts them just a little bit. So they got 2 more games with the Pittsburgh Pirates over the weekend, and then they got a brief 2-game set against the Baltimore Orioles. And since we don't have a show, like we said, we don't have a Strictly Sports next week, I can go through the rest of the way. Next weekend they have a series against the Colorado Rockies, and then from the 24th through the 27th they have a 4-game set against the Philadelphia Phillies, and then in 2 weeks they begin a 3-game set with my team, the Boston Red Sox. So yeah, I still like the Mets' body of work, and of course they're leading their division, but it's just that there are 4 teams that are better than them, and we'll definitely get into that as we continue along these power rankings. So So my number 5 is the New York Mets. Fletcher, your number 5.
I have to agree. I'm gonna go with the New York Mets. I was on the fence about where this was gonna play out, but you know what? I like what Mike Bullock is talking, and I love his direction. So I agree with him. Number 5, New York Mets. Anthony, it's yours.
All right. Let's see. At some point, I'm gonna have to make a tie here to accommodate to, or I'm gonna have to make a tie to accommodate, make sure I have the top spots in perfect order here. So yes. Okay. And this is where I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it at number 5. I have a tie at number 5, and this is surprisingly my only tie in these power rankings. Usually I have a lot of ties, but this time around it's only just this one. One of them is the New York Mets. I do agree. And my other number 10 is the Kansas City Royals.
You mean your number 5?
Yeah, number 5. Right. Yep. Tie at number 5. This is my only tie. New York Mets and the Kansas City Royals. Those are my co-number 5s in these power rankings this week. Mr. Bullock, he touched on the Mets, but I do want to share one thing when it comes to the Mets there. Bullock mentioned it. They did lose 2 out of 3 to Tampa, but that 4-game sweep against Colorado, they outscored the Colorado Rockies in those 4 games. Get this, guys, 23-5, 23-5 in those 4 games rather. Amazing. And then they had a tough loss tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who, by the way, are in my top 3 in the power rankings this week. 3-2, 10-inning loss to the Pirates tonight. Tough loss for them. And then, like Bullock said, 2 more games against the Pirates this weekend at Citi Field, and then that 2-game interleague series against Baltimore at Camden Yards on Tuesday and Wednesday. They're off on Monday. And then they're off again Thursday, and then they get the Rockies again for a 3-game series at Coors Field. That's Friday to Sunday next weekend, and then after that, it gets even easier. A 4-game series at Citizens Bank Park against the Philadelphia Phillies, the Dud Phillies, and then of course in 2 weeks, in addition to that big Yankee Brave interleague series, how about a 3-game interleague series with the Mets hosting at Citi Field, Michael Bullock's Boston Red Sox, and that's going to conjure up memories of one of the greatest World Series of all time in 1986, when the Red Sox and the Mets played in one of the 10 greatest World Series that ever happened. I mean, that to me was one of the greatest World Series of all time. Even though I'm not old enough to remember it, I was only 3 years old, but still, it's still to me one of the greatest World Series of all time. Especially, of course, Game 6, one of the greatest games of all time. So yeah. So that's it for the Mets. My other number 5 is the Kansas City Royals. 69-46, best record in the American League. 6-4 in their last 10 games. 1-game winning streak as they were victorious tonight over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, just like they were against them in that American League divisional series last October. Since our last rankings, they had that 3-game sweep of the Chicago White Sox, and then they followed that up by taking 2 out of 3 from the Detroit Tigers. And then they lost to the Angels on Thursday, but they got the win back tonight. So 2 more games against the Royals this weekend. 1 on Fox Sports 1 tomorrow night, or later tonight rather. And then, of course, Sunday night baseball, Mr. Bullock, Angels and Royals, Kauffman Stadium. Be there, be square. And then, of course, off day Monday, and then a 2-game interleague series with the Cincinnati Reds at the Great American Ballpark. That should be interesting. And then, Mr. Bullock, you're not going to like this, sir. Starting Thursday night, your Boston Red Sox get the Kansas City Royals, your reigning defending American League champions, for a 4-game series. Good luck with that one, buddy. You're going to need it. Big time. And then following that, an American League Championship Series rematch with the Baltimore Orioles at Kauffman Stadium. That's a 4-game series, the 24th to the 27th. And then in 2 weeks, when we do our next rankings, a 3-game series with the Tampa Bay Rays at Tropicana Field. So there you go. So solid schedule indeed. We'll see how they do with the Angels. Reds, we'll see. Red Sox, yeah. I don't like the Red Sox chances in that series. And then the Orioles, we'll see what happens, and then Tampa. So there you go. My only tie in these power rankings, believe it or not. Co-number 5s, it's the New York Mets and the Kansas City Royals. So with that said, I believe Fletch already went with his number 5. So yeah, we're all set here. So with that said, we go down to number 4, and I believe Michael Fletcher leads off since Michael Bullock actually led off for a change. So Fletcher, number 4.
Yes, my number 4. And you know what, Anthony? You did make a compelling argument here about the Kansas City Royals. So I'm going to put them at my number 4. I kind of overlooked them, which was my fault, my mistake. But I'm going to put Kansas City here at number 4, which means there's a tie at number 3. There's a true number 2 and a true number 1. We'll wait and see what happens. All right. So with that said, I gotta do it. So my number 4 is the Kansas City Royals, and Anthony Flair alluded to it. I'm gonna confirm, at least on my end, they are number 4. So let's move on. Florio, who's your number 4? I think I know who it is.
Okay. I don't know. I don't think you know who it is, but I'll say it like this: 4 through 1, it's true. True number 4, true number 3, true number 2, and true number 1. This is a tough one, but I'm going to be honest with you. 7-3 in their last 10 games. This team is 1-game winning streak. They have the best record in all of baseball, and I know this is not gonna. It's not gonna sit well with people, but I got to be honest here. I got to be the analyst here. My number 4, believe it or not, it is the St. Louis Cardinals, only because of the fact that we got 3 hot teams ahead of them. So we got one team that's slightly hotter than they are. They're also 7-3 in their last 10, but they've won 2 games in a row. So I got to give that team the benefit of the doubt. And then, of course, the 2 hottest teams in the game right now. You know they got to be the top 2. So yeah, St. Louis Cardinals are my number 4. They did take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee, last weekend, and then of course they took 2 out of 3 that big series against Pittsburgh, but they lost the last game against Pittsburgh, and then they won tonight against Miami. Now if they had beaten Pittsburgh in that third, if they had swept Pittsburgh, they would have been in the top 3 without a doubt. But that third loss, so that third game loss really hurt, and then they beat Miami. That's nothing because Miami, cum sa team. So they have 2 more games against the Marlins this weekend at home, and then of course that big 3-game series, that National League, that NLCS rematch, the National League Championship Series rematch with the San Francisco Giants starting Monday night at home, off on Thursday, and then they go to San Diego for a 3-game series against the Padres. That's at Petco Park, and then on Monday, August 24th, they begin a 4-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's at Chase Field. And then in 2 weeks, guess what, boys? They get the Giants again, this time in San Francisco for a 3-game series. We do our next rankings in 2 weeks. So not a popular decision, not an easy decision, but I have to give that other team the benefit of the doubt. So not a popular decision or an easy one, like I said, but my number 4, reluctantly, it is the St. Louis Cardinals. Only because we got 2 hot teams at number 1 and 2, and then, of course, the team ahead of them is just slightly, only because their body of work is just slightly better. So number 4, reluctantly, St. Louis Cardinals. So Michael Bullock, you're number 4.
All right. Who did Fletch have at number 4? I missed out on that.
I led off on number 4. Oh no. I think he had KC at number 4, right? Didn't you have the Kansas City Royals at 4, Fletch? I think he had Kansas City.
I had Royals at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I was going as well. I was going with the Kansas City Royals at number 4, so I got to agree with Fletch on this one. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he pretty much touched on everything. So, with that being said, let's move on to the top 3.
All right, you Mike Bullock, and I will start it off. All right. Okay, we're all set here. Okay. My number 3. the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh Pirates are my number 3. They're also 7-3 in the last 10 games with St. Louis. But here's the thing: they've won 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row. That's why I had to give Pittsburgh the benefit of the doubt here. Even though St. Louis did beat them 2 out of 3 in that big series, Pittsburgh won the final game of that series, 10-5, and then they followed that up with a huge 3-2 10-inning victory against the New York Mets at Citi Field tonight. They have 2 more games against the Mets this weekend at Citi Field, and then they go home to host the Arizona Diamondbacks for a 3-game series. That'll be on Monday. And then, of course, Thursday night, that big 4-game series with major power ranking implications against the World Series champion San Francisco Giants, which, oh, by the way, is a rematch of that National League wild card game from last year. Capped off with Sunday Night Baseball, August 23rd, which is, of course, SummerSlam Sunday, right there, folks. And then, of course, following that, another 4-game series, this time in Miami against the Miami Marlins at Marlins Park. That's a 4-gamer. And then in 2 weeks, when we do our next rankings, 3-game series with the dud Colorado Rockies. So with that said, my number 3, it is the Pittsburgh Pirates. So with that said, Michael Bullock, let's have your number 3.
All right, I have a tie at number 3. One of them is the Pittsburgh Pirates. I do agree with you on that, and the other one is the St. Louis Cardinals. So, yeah, you pretty much touched on both of them. So, I really got nothing more to say except I'm just going to give it to Fletch for this number 3.
I actually agree with Michael Bullock. I have the tie as well, Cardinals and Pirates at my number 3. Let's go to number 2.
All right. Number 2, it's here and now. Michael Bullock, who is it?
All right, my number 2. Well, this team was going to be number 1 until what happened tonight. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. The Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, they were going to be my number 1 for the second straight week until they lost to the New York Yankees tonight. So, yes, since our last power rankings, which we did on Sunday, but of course they swept, the New York Yankees in New York over the last weekend, and then of course they swept the Oakland A's, and the big killer was losing to the New York Yankees tonight, 4-3, and yes, and they were leading this one 3-0, the Toronto Blue Jays, until that 4-run 8th inning where it basically killed them, and because of that loss, I have to punish them just a little bit, not that much. So yeah, so 2 more with the New York Yankees over the weekend. And then, of course, they got a brief 2-game set with the dud Philadelphia Phillies. And then next weekend, they have a 3-game set with the LA Angels of Anaheim. And then on the 25th through the 27th, they have a 3-game set with the Texas Rangers. And then in 2 weeks, they start a 3-game set with the Detroit Tigers. So the thing is, I mean, Toronto's been one of the hottest teams in baseball, especially ever since they got Troy Tulowitzki and David Price. So yeah, so we'll see if they can continue that stretch, even though they did hit a bump in the road against the New York Yankees. So with that being said, my number 2, the Toronto Blue Jays. Fletcher, your number 2.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I know you're probably going to have Toronto at number 2. I wholeheartedly disagree with you, gentlemen. I think you guys are missing something a little more significant here. They've won 11 in a row going into tonight's game. And yeah, it was a minor hiccup. It was the New York Yankees. I get that. But the body of work that they did going into that streak and what propelled them to do it when you're talking about, winning. And the thing is, in the last 17 games, they went for actually in the last 16, they're 14-2 altogether. And the teams that they had to deal with in that winning streak, which is the American League champions, the Kansas City Royals. Then they had to deal with the Minnesota Twins, which is, right now they're not that great. They're in the middle of the road. The Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Then the Oakland Athletics. I mean, you're talking World Series runner-up, a decent team in the Minnesota Twins, which they swept 4 in a row. Then going into the stadium, in the Yankee Stadium, and knocking off the Yankees the way they did by basically beating them, by basically outscoring them in that series alone, 10-1. Then to beat the Oakland Athletics the way that they handled them by outscoring them basically 18-7. So I'm sorry, guys. I just don't understand why Toronto would not be number one. They had one of the hottest streaks going. Now, here's my argument for the Chicago Cubs. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, well, Mike, why are you saying Chicago? Here's the reason why. Number one, a lot of their victories or that they've had, their recent victories, have been against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are not as great as any of the other teams. Plus, now they're beating down on. Plus, they got a win tonight over the Chicago White Sox, crosstown rivals. Not really there. Now, I can give you the San Francisco Giants, but the Giants are not that great right now. I mean, they're kind of a little bit semi-down, and the Pirates are basically chasing. They split a 1-1 game because one game got rained out. So you don't really know how that would have played out. So I'm sorry. I'm not convinced. I'm not sold on the Chicago Cubs. And yes, they still got a mini 2-game series against the Detroit Tigers, a 4-game set against the Atlanta Braves. So hopefully they'll prove me wrong. And then they got a couple of series that they got one game against the Cleveland Indians. That's a makeup game because a game earlier in the year got rained out. So they're gonna make that one up. And then they get then they go on a brief West Coast swing against the Giants and the Dodgers. Then they end the month with one game against the Cincinnati Reds, which is probably going to be a start of a 3 or 4 game set. So, I mean, I want to see something more. And because of the level of talent, I'm not sold. Yes, the 8 games winning streak is good, no doubt about it. And I know, Anthony, that's your new number one. But I'm sorry, gentlemen. I take what you've done, this whole body of work in the last few weeks as well, not just including just recently. I'm not a prisoner of the moment. And I won't be. Chicago Cubs is my number 2. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, with all due respect, I mean, I know Toronto should be number 1, considering their body of work and everything else. But if they had beaten the Yanks tonight, without a doubt, they definitely would have been number 1. But you talk about how the Cubs have been beating Milwaukee. Minnesota, during the course of that 11-game winning streak, they salvaged the final game of that Kansas City series. And then the 4-game sweep of Minnesota, yeah, they outscored them 26-12 in that 4-game stretch. And then that was well documented on the last show. Oakland, let's face it, they're right in that same boat with Milwaukee. They're a last-place team. They're not really all that good either. So and yeah, they outscored them 18-7. I get it, but tonight, all they had to do tonight to cement themselves as number 1 once again was beat the Yanks. They almost did it. They were on their way to doing it. 3-0 lead up until the top of the 8th inning, and then, Headley had the ground rule double, and then, of course, Carlos Beltran pretty much put the kibosh on it with his 3-run home run. Far and away the biggest hit he's had in a Yankee uniform. That's why the Yanks picked him up, no doubt about it. But that's why we wanted him. I mean, for those special moments. And tonight, Beltran gave us a Shakespearean drama moment tonight. So if it wasn't for that, if Toronto had won that game, without a doubt, Toronto would have been number one again. But I take the fact that they lost tonight. That's what matters. So reluctantly, I do have to agree with Michael Bullock here. The Toronto Blue Jays are my number 2. I got to reward the hottest team, and that's what I have to do. And I know Toronto should be number 1, but honestly, I can't do it, Fletch, with all due respect, of course. Blue Jays have 2 more games against the Yanks this weekend at Rogers Center, and then they go to Philadelphia for a 2-game interleague series against the Phillies, and then they go to Anaheim for a 3-game series with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim after an off day Thursday, by the way. That's next Friday, next weekend. And then they go to Texas for a 3-game series with the Rangers after an off day Monday, the 24th. And then in 2 weeks, when we do our next rankings, they'll be at home for a 3-game series against the Detroit Tigers. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's very simple. If they had beaten the Yankees tonight, they would have been the number 1 team in the rankings, without a doubt. But they lost to them. Big game situation. They didn't get it done. They had it. They had it on a silver platter. They had a 3-0 lead, and then they blew it. If they didn't do it, if it wasn't for that blow tonight, that would have been it right there. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games, but anytime I see L1, that weighs heavily on me. And when I see a team that has W8 and 9-1 in their last 10, who do you think I'm going to go with? Toronto Blue Jays number 2. So with that said, I know we have a disagreement. Michael Fletcher, I know who your number 1 is. Just reiterate.
Well, my number 1 is Toronto because of the fact that they've won 11 in a row. I don't think there's really much of an argument here. And I really am flabbergasted that you didn't take the 11 in a row into consideration. Just because of one loss to the New York Yankees is all that took for them to drop, I think is absolutely asinine, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, I'm going to call you out on this, Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock, because of the fact that, like I said, it's almost to the point where if you don't win today, it's almost irrelevant in baseball, where bodies of work basically is coming down to 1 game in that situation. And I'm sorry, but I don't think so. That's why I didn't punish Toronto for what they have done, because of what they've done in the last 2 weeks, from closing the gap that they did to where they are now. And note this: if anything else in this entire argument, just for the pure sake of sole arguments in this, is that yes, Toronto is right now a half game out in their divisional lead. Where on earth is the Chicago Cubs right now, ladies and gentlemen? They are in 3rd place, 7.5 games out of the first place first place right now. Now, yes, they are holding a wild card lead, and understandable, but here's the thing. You're not guaranteed a postseason position if you're in a 1-game playoff. And not only that, but they're going to have to go on the road to Pittsburgh if everything holds true. So, I mean, the body of work says it all. The body of work says it all in this situation. At least in my mind, the body of work says it all. you know, you're talking about a third place team to a first place team. So, yes, I understand the record will say that, the Cubs are better, no doubt about it. But I also look at the body of work of the division. Chicago's in third. Toronto is only a half game out of the lead in the division. 11 in a row, one loss. I mean, I can't say nothing more about it. And the thing is that to be a prisoner of the moment, like this is right now, I think is pointless, unnecessary, unacceptable, mediocre, and I'm gonna call it downright stupid in my eyes. And I cannot believe a baseball historian like Anthony Florio would do something that I don't want to say idiotic because I'm not going to call you an idiot because you're not. But this is almost like a Skip Bayless. You're a prisoner of the moment right now, Florio, and that's the problem that I have with this more than anything else. This is a prisoner of the moment type move, and that's why I'm not falling for the trap, at least in my eyes. But you can go ahead. You can, make your argument about Chicago being number one. I just feel like total body of work and everything that led into this point, that's where I'm coming from.
All right. Will do. I certainly understand that. But I will say this, though. It's not just that if Toronto had won today, that they would have been number one. Also this, if the Cubs had lost today, then also, even if both teams had lost tonight, then Toronto would have. I definitely would have had Toronto still at number one. No, these two. Let's not argue here. Let's just say it like this. I think we can agree that these are the two hottest teams in the game right now, and rightfully so. I mean, no two teams are hotter right now than these two teams right now. The Toronto Blue Jays and the Chicago Cubs. There's no question about this. But yeah, I am a prisoner of the moment. But the Blue Jays had a chance. I mean, they had a 3-0 lead tonight against the Yanks, and they blew it. They blew it. They couldn't slam the door. If they had slammed the door, bam, that would have done it. Or if the Cubs had lost tonight as well, then yes. But I know they should be number one, like I said. I said that. I said they should. I know they should be. But it's very tough. It's very tough, and it's not easy. But it's reluctant. That's all there is to it. I'm not happy about it. I mean, I want to put Toronto at number one, but I just can't in good conscience right now do it. Cubs right now, in terms of overall body of work, I mean, both teams are 9-1 in the last 10 games, and the Cubs have won 8 in a row. So with that said, I have to go with it. The Chicago Cubs are my number one team. Celebrate, Matt Ward. That's who it is. Coming off a 4-game sweep of the Giants, they take care of business against Milwaukee like they were supposed to. They also outscored Milwaukee 18-7. Yes, they did. 18-7. Just like Toronto did with Oakland. So that's even right there. And then they come back and beat the White Sox. That was a back-and-forth game today. That was an afternoon game. So 2 more games against the White Sox this weekend at U.S. Cellular Field. And then a 2-game interleague series with the Detroit Tigers Tuesday. And then Thursday, Fletch, your Atlanta Braves get them 4 in a row at Wrigley Field next Thursday. And then following that, they have a makeup game with the Cleveland Indians. I guess that was a makeup game, on August 24th. And then the 25th through the 27th, 3-game series with the San Francisco Giants at AT&T Ballpark there in San Francisco. And then, of course, they close out the month of August with a 3-game series with the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, capped off with Sunday Night Baseball on Sunday, August 30th. So this was very tough. I honestly wish Toronto had won tonight because then I would have felt more comfortable with it. But I know this is going to spark a debate. It's going to spark an argument, and rightly so. And And I know Michael Fletcher had every right to go Stephen A. Smith on me. I deserve it. So, but yeah, you're right. I'm a prisoner of the moment. That's all there is to it. And I know Bullock is too. So,
Yeah, I am.
not easy, not popular. I know. I know the Toronto Blue Jays should be the #1 team, and rightly so. But a chance on the biggest stage, you're at home against a team that you dominated in their house the week before. You have a 3-0 lead, and you blow it. I'm sorry, I can't. That's why I had to punish Toronto. With all due respect, of course. Reluctantly, the Chicago Cubs are my #1 team. Michael Bullock, I know you agree with me, but just put us out of our misery anyway.
Yes, and unfortunately, I gotta agree with Anthony on this one. Chicago Cubs are my #1. I know, like you said, it's not a popular decision, and I know Fletch doesn't agree with that, but hey, as the old saying goes, we're all entitled to our opinion, and I respect Michael Fletch's opinion, and yeah, I was caught up in the moment, and this is why we basically went the Skip Bayless route, and this is why, like Fletcher, this is why we call him the Stephen A. Smith of our group, because he tells it like it is, and basically if he hears something he makes no bones about it. He basically will go off just like he did, and he went off like the cerebral viper that he is, and the old saying, you don't poke a viper, because you do, it will bite you. And unfortunately, Florio and I felt the wrath of that. So yeah, so this is definitely going to spark a debate. So, and this is probably one of the most heated and controversial top 2s or top 3s that we've ever done here on Strictly Sports. I mean, when it comes to any power rankings, Major League Baseball, NHL, or NBA. I mean, man, all I can say is Chicago Cubs my #1. With that being said, Florio, let's just put an end to this crazy night.
Yeah, crazy hard times, really night indeed here on Strictly Sports, and unfortunately it ends in hard times. Damn shame, but it is what it is. But
yeah, this is not the way we wanted to end this show.
no, it's been a hard time for the show as it is. We had that fun moment earlier, talking about your brushes with fame there and Fletch's big announcement.
And unfortunately, you and I had to be bring back the hard times.
Yeah, we did. We did. This is why I always dread power rankings, to be honest with you. This is why. So, never easy, but
because we know one of us is going to get the Ren and Stimpy treatment, and unfortunately,
facial expression. Yeah. But let me just say it like this: next week, thank goodness, we don't have to endure this next week, because next week it's going to be a fun show next Friday night, if you know what I mean. I'll have more on that in just a moment when it comes to the future content. So that's going to definitely put a bow on this edition of Strictly Sports. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, as always. So with that said, we're going to get into our shout-outs now. First it'll be Bullock, then it'll be Fletch, and then I'll take the rest of my shout-outs, and then I'll set up the future content. And we got a lot of future content coming up. So Michael Bullock, get right to it.
All right, of course, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in for another edition of Strictly Sports. Long night, to say the very least, even though it ends in not the way we wanted it to, in controversial fashion. But you know what? It is what it is, as Bill Belichick would always like to say. And of course, shout out to all of our fans out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or the Wrestling Forum. It doesn't matter. Of course, the shout outs to Dee Woodson and her family. Of course, our super fans. Of course, also to Matt Ward and Jason Hicksonbaugh. And of course, to all of our friends from our high school days, starting with Al Bredderson, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Eric Carrier, Tom Souza, the First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaiser Butler, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Megan Silva, To Derek Ferreira, who continues his leave of absence because of his sports blog commitments. Well written, to say the very least. And all I can say is to Derek Ferreira, the three of us here. We're very proud of what you've done with your sports blog, and all I can say is you keep it going, man, and hopefully you do become somewhat of a sports writer someday. And yeah, so, and of course, when it comes to next week's show, when we do our previews, of course, Florio will basically talk about it when we get to him. So shout out to you, Derek, and yeah, and of course to our news personalities, of course, Ken Bell from ABC6, Frank Arpano and Joe Chiata from NBC10, Yanni Caracas, Mark Dondero, and Patrick Little from Channel 12, Jenny Dell from CBS, and of course our friends from ESPN, of course, starting off with the ladies, Sarah Walsh, Lindsay Zarniak, Jamie Sire, Lisa Kearney, Jay McCarthy. To the men, Jonathan Coachman, Todd Grisham, and Robert Flores. From Fox Sports 1, Aaron Andrews, Carissa Thompson, Julie Stewart-Binks, Jill Harrington, Molly McGrath, Katie Nolan, and of course, to the former Celtics reporter Emily Austin. Of course, our friends from the Road Show. Of course, Will. Of course, the former co-hosts Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and of course, shout out to the three current people: Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. And of course, to our final shout outs, of course, go out to Stata Sorrell and Lindsay McCormick. So yes, so until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, of course, it is our biggest Wrestling Forum show since since on the road to WrestleMania. This year, of course, it was the go home show to WrestleMania, but this will be the go home to SummerSlam edition of Monday Night Raw, which we will review. Of course, it kicks off SummerSlam week, and oh boy, fellas, I cannot wait as SummerSlam week begins, and this is where the party is just beginning. So until then, this is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so much for listening to us, and of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up, talk to you later. Yeah, road up 4 style. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. And of course, God bless and be good to each other. And for now, Mike Bullock, so long. Fletcher, it's yours.
Yes, I want to thank all the great fans out there who make Strictly Sports as popular as it is. You guys are awesome as always. Special shout out to all my friends from the junior high and high school days. You guys don't know who you are. Special shout out to super fans out there. You guys know who you are. I actually got to see Megan Silva today, so pretty cool. We chatted a little bit, so always good to see her as always. And of course everybody knows about the big announcement now. So I'll be heading to Fenway on Sunday with Kaiser Butler, the first lady of Strictly Sports, and then also much love to the 2184 crew as well. And that's it for me. So until then, Mike Fletcher, you know the routine, hugs and hand pounds. I'm out. So long for now. Anthony Florio, take it home.
All right, Fletch, we'll do on that. Of course, I want to thank you also very much for tuning into this edition of Strictly Sports Tonight. Special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make Strictly Sports and the Wrestling Forum as ridiculously over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best in the world. Our super fans, Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson and the Woodson family, Matt Ward, Jason Higginlaw, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, Megan Silva, Kaiser Butler, obviously, Derek Ferreira. We'll have something on him in just a moment. Of course, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Braderson, and Rob Parsons. We give them our shout-outs as well. All of our personalities, Bullet touched on that. I'm not going to reiterate that. They know who they are. And And then, of course, Crystal Tooney, can't forget about her. Stata Sorrell, Lindsay McCormick, our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Michaela Johnson, and Frankie Kirby, along with former co-hosts Megan Mooney and Mary Larson. And, of course, last but certainly not least, my church family at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. If you need a church home, check them out. They're wonderful. They have Sunday morning service at 10 a.m. and then their Wednesday night Bible study at 7 p.m. on Wednesday nights. So yeah, there you go. So, and then, of course, yeah, so that's pretty much it for my shout-outs. You already know that routine. So, of course, the future content, of course, Monday night, right back here, here on the Tone 25. Immediately following Monday Night Raw, we got the Wrestling Forum, the big Wrestling Forum, the first of two big Wrestling Forum shows this week. Of course, on Monday night, we will recap the Go Home to SummerSlam edition of Monday Night Raw. That will be live from the Target Center in Minneapolis. The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, they'll be there, as will Seth Rollins and John Cena. You know that's going to be some major stuff right there. And join the three of us. We'll all be here Monday night, following Raw, the Wrestling Forum, big show right there. Go home to SummerSlam, baby. Can't wait for that. And then, of course, next Friday night, as if you didn't know, the other big announcement here, next Friday night, August 21st, no Strictly Sports. Instead, we will have a special Friday night edition of the Wrestling Forum where we are going to preview WWE NXT TakeOver and the biggest party of the summer, the 28th annual edition of SummerSlam. And on top of that, next Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, will mark the return of the one and the only hardcore pipe bomb himself, Derek Ferrera. Yes, Derek Ferrera makes his long-awaited return next Friday night. And boy, howdy, we cannot wait to see him back. And believe it or not, fellas, not only is he going to be back, but he's going to be on location. He's going to be live from Brooklyn. Yes, if you didn't read the post earlier on the Strictly Sports Facebook page. So, Derek, we can't wait to see you next Friday night, buddy. We sure do miss you, man. And we wish you all the best in your continued commitments to the Sports Blog site. We hope that goes so well for you. You're doing a kick-ass job, man. Keep doing what you do, man. We got it here. So, and then, of course, don't forget. And then on Sunday the 23rd, the SummerSlam recap show, hosted by Michael Fletcher on his channel, Fan 95. As always, we do pay-per-view recaps. So, very busy next couple of days here on Strictly Sports and the Wrestling Forum. So keep an eye out for all that future content. So that will do it for this edition. So until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and as always in spirit, Derek Ferrera, saying, you know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Have a great weekend, everybody. And until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. And for now, Anthony Florio